their second one-day international against the West Indies. Dan Norcross.
West Indies 83 for 2 in the 20th over. This partnership's now put on 71 after the loss of the two openers early on, but they're just getting a bit bogged down by the twin spin threat of Adil Rashid and Liam Livingston. Haven't really got going in the last 3 or 4 overs. 83 for 2 in the 20th over.
Sprint race is over in the F1. Harry Benjamin.
24 breathless laps later, and Lando Norris emerges victorious, but only because his teammate Oscar Piastri let him through eventually after the calls on the radio. Max Verstappen finishing in third, but crucially, Norris eats into that lead Verstappen has by 2 points. The gap going into the Grand Prix on Sunday, now 45 points between the two title contenders, qualifying for the Grand Prix later on today.
Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0 earlier in the Premier League. All the goals, of course, on Match of the Day tonight, 10:20 on BBC One. Our base from 3 o'clock is Anfield for Liverpool against Brighton. 5:30, it's Wolves against Crystal Palace. Full commentary from Molineux with Alistair Bruce Ball. Let's go around the Premier League 3 o'clocks. We'll start at Bournemouth as they look to end their winless run against Manchester City. Will Perry.
And Manchester City could open up an 8-point lead over third place Arsenal with a win. Bournemouth will hope to take the momentum from their 96-minute equaliser at Villa Park into this one, but they've never beaten City in any competition in their history. Pep Guardiola has 12 wins from 12 against them in the Premier League. Pep claimed that he had just 13 available players after the League Cup exit at Spurs midweek. Did we believe him? Probably not. He's clobbered together 20 today, just one keeper on the bench, and that includes De Bruyne, Doku and Savinho. A third consecutive game for Bournemouth against the team that finished in the top 4 last season. They beat Arsenal, drew at Villa. Anything here today would very much go against the script.
Now, the bottom 6 in the Premier League all play each other today. When they met in the Championship last season, both matches between Ipswich and Leicester finished 1-1. Lee Blakeman's watching them this afternoon at Portman Road.
With their 10th attempt, is this the day that Ipswich pick up their first Premier League win of the season? They've got a big chance here against a Leicester side that have only won twice in the league themselves and have lost their last 2 in all competitions, conceding 8 goals while doing so. Ipswich have been boosted by the return of captain Sam Morsey from injury. Liam Delap, Amari Hutchinson and Ben Johnson are all back in too. Leicester have made 2 defensive changes from the side that started against Forest, with Vestergaard and Christensen replacing Okoli and Justin, and Leicester are without Steve Cooper on the touchline today as he serves a 1-match ban for picking up 3 yellow cards.
They got a win in the League Cup during the week, did Southampton. Can they get a win in the Premier League? They're bottom. They're taking on an Everton side looking to make it 6 unbeaten for the first time under Sean Dyche. Chris Coles.
Southampton's search for a Premier League win reaches a 23rd game. Russell Martin's steadfast belief in his style of play, winning plenty of plaudits, but not many points. Could that change today against the team they've beaten in 7 of their last 10 top-flight meetings at St Mary's? Armstrong for Dibbling, their only change. Everton have found some form after a difficult start. Sean Dyche navigating the club to calmer waters thanks to a 5-match unbeaten run. Another victory today would take them to the dizzy heights of mid-table comfort. Mangala and Lindstrom in for Decore and Harrison.
Speaking of dizzy heights, Nottingham Forest could be third by 5 o'clock this afternoon. They're going for their 3rd win in a row, and they're taking on a West Ham side who are playing outside London for the first time in the Premier League this season. Pat Murphy.
Well, will that travel sickness be cured for West Ham as they go up the M1, or will they remain laboured or uninspired, as they were for a good proportion of the game last Sunday against Manchester United, until Somerville came on as sub in the second half, transformed the proceedings. He starts, so does Tadibo. As for Nottingham Forest, the feel-good factor, that's an understatement here. 16 points already, exactly half of last season's whole tally. They were a basket case, weren't they, the 2 previous seasons? But now, good signings. Anderson and Milenkovic in particular, a solid pre-season, valuable time spent together, speed on the flanks, good goalkeeper, Wood getting the right service. It's not rocket science, is it? Gibbs-White comes back into the side. Anderson, one of the signings of the summer, not fully fit. He's on the bench.
Big win for Newcastle this afternoon. They've beaten Arsenal 1-0, so 3 games without a win for Mikel Arteta's side. Alexander Isak got the winner. Here's Eddie Howe with Guy Mowbray.
Eddie, what a difference 1 week in football makes. Never mind a year since you beat Arsenal 1-0, I think 2 days short of a year ago.
Yeah, and that's what you have to tell yourself when results aren't in your favour. You have to be really strong mentally and know that they will turn if you continue to do the right things. I think the group has. Really pleased with the players. It's been a tough week. you look at the fixture list, Chelsea, Arsenal, that's not an easy week for anybody to navigate, and players have done really well.
How important and how much did it help today, the performance and the win and the style of it in midweek?
Yeah, I think it did. I think there was a better feel about the group in training the last couple of days after Chelsea, just almost like a feeling of pressure maybe lifted slightly. But I think that today's performance was based on hard work and desire, motivation. Really difficult game. Two very good teams. I thought there wasn't a lot of chances, wasn't a lot of goal-mouth action, but a lot of really good defending in the second half, but also a lot of good attacking in both halves. Maybe with quick attacks, but still, I thought we looked good.
I'll tell you what did look good, the winning goal. Tell us your view of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a trademark goal for Alex, but I'm really pleased to see it. I mean, a brilliant ball in from Anthony. He can give you that on the right with his natural right side crossing the ball. It was a great header. I think I've seen him do one of those before against Wolves, similar, but I think today's was better. An incredible header. And I think it was always going to take that kind of goal to win the game, because as I say, it was a game of few chances, but the one big moment we took.
You talked the other week about the need to find that 95-minute performance week in, week out, the consistency. It was 95 minutes today. Now for the run.
Yeah, it was 95 minutes of concentration and consistency within our attitude, which really pleased me today. Because at one moment you switch off. I mean, they had a chance right at the end. It's probably their best chance of the game. But I thought we managed to control some very good players pretty well today.
Eddie Howe with Guy Mowbray. See it all on Match of the Day this evening on BBC One at 10:20. All the goals as they go in this afternoon on another busy afternoon. Both north and south of the border. FA Cup first round weekend as well. I'm sure there will be some shocks along the way. Our base is Anfield. Liverpool against Brighton with Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis.
Thanks, Mark. Yep, good afternoon. It could be a busy one this afternoon, as Mark was saying. 31 ties in the FA Cup first round, and fresh from Tamworth, Chris Sutton alongside me here at Anfield for what should be an entertaining game in the Premier League.
Oh, absolutely. Really looking forward to this one. Liverpool, if they want to keep pace with Manchester City and challenge for the title, they've got to win games like this against a Brighton team who we know, Ian, are extremely capable.
Well, I'm not going to try and put the commentator's curse on this game, but there's only ever been one goalless draw between the two, and that was at Brighton in September 1961.
Why?
As we're underway, I'm not saying there's going to be goals, but there should be on the history between the two of them. Kelleher is in goal for Liverpool. Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Konate and Tsimikas. One of three changes, actually, that Arne Slot has made. Tsimikas for Robertson. The other changes, Szoboszlai and Gakpo coming in for Diaz, as well as Jones. They're all on the bench. Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister against his old side. Salah, Nunez and Gakpo. And as for Brighton and Hove Albion, from their last league outing, they've made just the one alteration, and that is Hinchelwood coming in for Baleba in the midfield. So Verbruggen is in goal, Beltman, Julio, Van Hecke, Estepinian. And then you've got Kariolu, Hinchelwood, Ayari, Matoma, Ruter and Welbeck. Brighton and Hove Albion in their white and royal blue striped shirts and royal blue shorts are attacking the Kop end. They're playing from left to right as we look, as Liverpool all in red, and Matoma straight away is on the inside of Alexander-Arnold. This is Ayari in the midfield. Van Hecke with the blonde hair, back out towards that far side, finds Estepinian infield. Ayari finds himself unmarked, tries to nick it in towards the penalty area, and Konate will get the ball clear.
Really confident start from Brighton. We expect no less. Ball going back to Verbruggen, who can handle it, and playing out from the back, provoking the Liverpool press and playing through them early on.
So this is Hinchelwood, who comes from a really, really strong family history of professional footballers. His great-granddad Wally, granddad Paul, ex-Crystal Palace, dad Adam, who actually now is the York City manager there at Wickham in the FA Cup today, and the great Uncle Martin, all ex-pros, and Hinchelwood continuing that fine tradition as the ball is given away sloppily at the back. And now this is Matoma looking towards Welbeck. Welbeck gets it into Ruter. Challenge comes in from Tsimikas. Referee had a good view of that. That's Tony Harrington from the northeast, and Liverpool get the ball away. But Brighton have made a very confident start in the opening 2 minutes. The top two are in action. How Manchester City started at Bournemouth, Will Perry?
Well, really poorly. What a start from Bournemouth. Still Bournemouth 0, Manchester City 0, but City so open, and Ederson forced into a double save to deny Semenyo and Kluivert. As the corner comes in, it's cleared away. City under the pump early on, 0-0.
This is Veltman on this near side, the right, back towards Van Hecke. Kadiolu, the Turkish international, so versatile, playing in midfield. He wins the ball back. No, there was a free kick there on McAllister. Early goal in the FA Cup first round. It's at Scotland. Rochdale 0, Bromley 1. They've only had one win in 13 of Andy Woodman's side, but they've taken the lead at Rochdale, and McAllister has stayed down, clutching his left calf.
Yeah, he's in a lot of pain. Rolled over. Arne Slot telling him to get up, actually. Liverpool bench, but so he's in agony. Just gets caught by Ruter, isn't it? Just on his I think it's his right ankle. No, he is getting up now, but it's a sore one from McAllister. Not happy with the challenge.
We're going to go racing on 5 Live. It's the Charlie Hall chase at Wetherby. John Hunt.
Turning for home here, Ian, for the jump, and the real Wacker out in front has made all of the running to this point. He's 1 length clear of Brave Man's Game, winner of this race 2 years ago. Hang in there, is in third, which is a great effort. He made a bad mistake early in the race, then conflated Sam Brown and French Dynamite, dropping right out. They're coming now over the third last fence, and it's still the real Wacker out in front, 2 clear. Brave Man's Game second, but is struggling to land a blow on the front runner. Sam Brown running remarkably well, a close third. Hang in there next, conflated, well beaten. And as they head now to the closing stages and the final fence, the real Wacker's 3 lengths clear. The real Wacker, trained in Yorkshire here by Patrick Neville, 3 or 4 clear from Brave Man's Game, who's going to taste defeat in this race for the 2nd year running. Then Sam Brown in third, but the real Wacker is back in business. A Cheltenham Festival winner 18 months ago, had a miserable season last year, but that was much, much more like it. The real Wacker has won the Charlie Hall chase.
Thanks, John. Talking of a whack, did you see the last race at Wetherby yesterday? A horse unseated its rider and then caused absolute chaos and brought down about 4 other horses to approach the next fence. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching just for the comedic value. Ipswich, Leicester in the Premier League. Lee Blakeman.
It's 0-0, but Leicester should be ahead. Vardy's just gone into the area right side, squared it. Mavadidi unmarked, back post, and he completely mishit it. Ipswich 0, Leicester 0.
Bromley have got a second at Rochdale in the FA Cup. Rochdale 0, Bromley 2. 0-0 here in our commentary game. The usual goal service at Anfield. Liverpool against Brighton. Liverpool just a point off the top. Manchester City also playing today. They're both in Europe, of course, during the week. We'll have commentary back here at Anfield on Tuesday. Liverpool against Bayer Leverkusen, and in San Siro on Wednesday, Inter against Arsenal. As Liverpool play the ball forward, Salah was aimed for. Headed away, though, by Brighton. Picked back up by McAllister, who's recovered from that injury. He goes down again. Cariola with the interception. Now looks to try and break for Brighton. But Simicast comes back at him, and Liverpool get possession back 0-0. As we welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, wherever you are in the world, a pleasure to have your company this Saturday afternoon. 5 minutes in, Liverpool 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Salford City lead Shrewsbury by a goal to 0 in the FA Cup, and Hensford are leading Gainsborough Trinity by a goal to 0 as well, the lowest ranked side in the FA Cup. From the Northern Premier League Division 1 West, and they are leading Gainsborough Trinity by a goal to 0. No other goals elsewhere, as Brighton have a throw on the far side.
Yeah, quite a sloppy start from Liverpool. Brighton have been the slicker team and carried more of a threat to Liverpool. Liverpool just trying to get a foothold into this game.
Well, both, and of course new managers, both have a history of finding the back of the net under those respective managers. Arne Slot, Fabian Hürzeler, as Fabian Kelleher, all in black. Notice he's got the joggers underneath the shorts, standing in front of the cot. No pressure on the ball whatsoever. Fabian Kelleher, who's only lost 1 of 18 Premier League appearances, and that was actually against Brighton in November 2021, as he once again deputises for the injured Alisson. Yes. McAllister plays it back. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, some backup goalkeeper, isn't he? Kelleher, outstanding young goalkeeper. Pass off there from Van Dijk, trying to fire the ball into Sobersley, and Brighton countering once again. Kadioglu, we saw him at the Euros. Really good ball carrier. Played at left back, didn't he, for Turkey, marauding up that left-hand side. But on the right, hand side, right of a midfield four for Brighton.
Chesterfield, who are unbeaten in 8, are leading Horsham in the FA Cup by 1-0. Ball over the top towards Szoboszlai. Hasn't scored in the Premier League since the end of January, but Verbruggen was quickly out of his goal and put the ball out of play over on that far side. And Liverpool knock it across the back with Konate, and then with Van Dijk. Just casually drags it away from Ruta. Back with Konate. 9 league games in a row. His best run in the Premier League for Liverpool. For the French defender, as he hammers it away downfield. That was a no-nonsense, clattering it back towards Verbruggen. Chris.
Yeah, that's what he is, though, isn't he, Konate? He's not as cultured as Van Dijk. I think he's been outstanding. That partnership, Van Dijk and Konate, this season. Best defensive partnership in the Premier League so far. Had to work hard this afternoon, though, against Welbeck and Ruta and this confident Brighton team getting after Liverpool.
Worthing 0, Morecambe 1 in the FA Cup. As Morecambe struggling in League 2 against a Worthing side that might have fancied their chances of an upset, 5th in National League South. However, Morecambe are ahead. As coming in field on that far side was Matoma, stopped by McAllister. Brighton, though, try and win the ball back, and then it's volleyed away by Alexander-Arnold. Nice little spin by Nunez. Nunez now runs away, shrugs up the challenge of Kariolu. Nunez enters the penalty area. Onto his right boot, looks for the shooting opportunity, and the one-hand save by Verbruggen behind for a corner kick. As we go to Bournemouth, now there's been a goal. Will Perry.
It's at Anfield, Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0. It's been coming as well. Kirkesh did really well, got to the byline, pulled it back for Semenyo, who span and slotted it past Ederson. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
Preston North End 0, Bristol City 1 is the latest score in the Championship. In the FA Cup, Newport lead Peterborough by 1-0, and Tranmere Rovers are leading Oldham 1-0 at Prenton Park. Very good save by Verbruggen.
Oh, it was a brilliant save, but terrific play from Nunez in the middle of the park, popping the ball over Veltman's head, getting it, driving into the box on the left-hand side, tried to find at the top corner, but Verbruggen tipped it round the post.
Corner kick, right-hand side, flicked on by Estepinian. It'll go behind for another corner kick, but instead of the far side the right, this near side the left. Also in the FA Cup at Roots Hall, Southend United 0, Charlton 1. Newport County have got a second goal at home to Peterborough United. So in front of the travelling away support that have made that long journey up from the south coast, Alexander-Arnold carefully places the ball down in the quadrant on this slightly chilly autumnal afternoon. Overcast, left arm aloft by Alexander-Arnold, didn't beat the first man. Volleyed away by Kariolu, picked up by Tsimikas. Tsimikas waits and then passes the ball into the centre circle, and then it was Gravenberg, back to Tsimikas, McAllister. Alexander-Arnold has stayed on the left-hand side. His diagonal ball is chested away by Julio. But Van Dijk has stayed forward, and he hooks it out towards Salah, and Liverpool are back on the front foot. Salah crossing towards the penalty area, just over the head of Nunez, and it goes out for a goal kick, as we'll get news of that goal at Southend in the FA Cup by Hamish Marshall.
The perfect start for the League One side. Cross from the left, Miles Leyburn at the far post, headed into the top corner. It's Southend 0, Charlton 1.
What about Portman Road? How's it started? Ipswich, Leicester, Lee Blakeman.
Really lively. Ipswich 0, Leicester 0, though. Ipswich have just had a great chance. Leicester caught playing out from the back. Hutchinson crossed from the right. Smodick's arriving late with the header, 5 yards out, just over the bar. Ipswich 0, Leicester 0.
Brighton looking to play out from the back. Liverpool are pressing out to Veltman, goes to ground, free kick to the City ground. Pat Murphy.
It's 0-0 here. Forest assertive, but the highlight, a delicious pass from Murillo, the Brazilian centre-back for Forest, inside the full-back, came to nothing. Hudson-Odoi lost possession, but what a talent this young Brazilian defender is. Forest 0, West Ham 0.
Thanks, Pat. Hull City are leading against Portsmouth in the Championship without a win in 4 against a Pompey side who are bottom of the table and have only had 1 win in 13. But Hull are ahead there in the Championship. In the Premier League, earlier Newcastle United beat Arsenal by 1-0. Bournemouth have taken an early lead at home to Manchester City, who are still unbeaten, of course, as Matoma races after a ball in towards the penalty area, but Konate will shield him away and marshals the ball safely out for a goal kick, Chris.
Yeah, we've got to be watchful. The Liverpool back line. Mitoma, fantastic player he is, just makes a run in behind Alexander-Arnold. Canate spotted the danger and saw it out for a goal kick, but pretty even in the opening stages. Liverpool getting warmed up a little bit on this cold afternoon.
Ball is going to be tidied up by Igor Julio at the back. He finds Hinchelwood in the midfield. His forward ball, Ruta has just dropped off into a little bit of space there in the midfield of the Liverpool half, out towards Mitoma, showed too much towards Alexander-Arnold, who brings it away from the Japanese international, helped out by Szoboszlai, who now carries it forward. He just didn't have the legs. He goes to ground, but the referee, Tony Harrington, says there was no foul, and Brighton have it.
Yeah, you're right, didn't have the legs, went to ground too easily. Dive from Szoboszlai. He's better than that. It's a good chance for Liverpool. Driving down the field, good interception from Alexander-Arnold. Didn't make the most of it.
Exeter City lead Barnet by a goal to nil in the FA Cup. Barnet third in the National League. They have reached the second round in the last 2 seasons, but they're behind at St James's Park down in Devon. Let's go to Southampton, and it's Chris Coles.
Southampton 0, Everton 0. Southampton have dropped into their familiar rhythmic passing as Fernandes has a good chance, but marshalled out of play. Everton, though, have had the first look. Jesper Lindstrom free kick straight at Aaron Ramsdale. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
13 and a half minutes played at Anfield. BBC Radio 5 Live. You might be listening on the BBC Sounds app or indeed on the World Service, but it's goalless here in this Premier League contest as Van Hecker, central defender for Brighton, finds Ayari, his forward ball. Kariolu coming into the central area, out towards Mitoma. Now from the left, Mitoma enters the penalty area. It's behind Welbeck. It might reach Kariolu, who hits it and scores a fine goal. His first goal in the Premier League, right-footed, in off the left-hand post, and Brighton's confident start has produced a goal inside 14 minutes.
Yeah, and you can't say they don't deserve it. They absolutely do. They've been brave from the off, played through the Liverpool midfield. The ball went out left, and then the cross from Mitoma went all the way through to Kadiolu. And what a finish, 15, 16 yards out. From the angle, pings it right-footed in off the far post. It's a wonderful finish, but the bravery they have, Brighton. A little touch from Welbeck, which falls into Kadiolu's path. And then he thrashes the ball past Kelleher. Liverpool behind, but Brighton deserve it.
Well, it was a really sweet strike by Ferdi Kadiolu. Scored his first goal against Wolves in the League Cup. That's his first in the league, but they deserve it, as Chris Sutton quite rightly says. Salford City 2, Shrewsbury 0 in the FA Cup, and Wycombe Wanderers are leading York City by a goal to nil. Wycombe, who've won their last 4, going ever so well, second in League One against the National League leaders, who I say are managed by Adam Hinchelwood, Jack's dad. So contrasting fortunes in a matter of minutes for the Hinchelwood family. And Liverpool, who've made a slow start, are going to have to get their act together. So after Arsenal had lost at Newcastle earlier, the top 2, Manchester City and Liverpool, both find themselves behind. Update in the second one-day international, Dan Norcross. Sorry, we're going to the rugby. England, New Zealand, Sarah Orchard.
Nil, New Zealand nil. We've only played 4 minutes, but Marcus Smith, the Harlequins fly half, wearing 10 for England, has a shot at the goal right in front of us now, takes his run up, early penalty for England, and they're on the board. It's England 3, New Zealand 0, and we've only played 4 minutes.
Commentary continues on Sports Extra. I thought it sounded rather loud for the cricket. Salford 1, Shrewsbury 1 is a latest score in the FA Cup. So that was a mistake on the computer. It really has said Salford 2, Shrewsbury 0, but it's Salford 1, Shrewsbury 1. And Carlisle United are down to 10 men as well in the FA Cup. They're playing Wigan at home today at Brunton Park, still 0-0, but Ethan Robson has been sent off. Just had an update from the Rugby Union commentary on Sports Extra in the Rugby League. England 16, Samoa 6. There's a stoppage in play. Tsimikas is down, and Liverpool yet to really start.
No, and Tsimikas is down because him and Virgil van Dijk were not on the same wavelength. Long ball, Van Dijk attacked it and then caught Tsimikas in the follow-through. He's been down for a while now. Caught him in the midriff. But Brighton, such a dangerous team, aren't they? Now they've got something to hold on to, not that they'll sit back and hold on to it. Front foot team so far this game.
Well, now we can hear from Dan Norcross.
132 for 2, the West Indies. In the 27th over, they're going really nicely. Kesey Carty has 55 from 65. Shea Hope, who's not scored a 50 for over a year in one-day internationals, has 66. They're both looking very comfortable out there. England are resorting to their part-time spinners at the moment, Bethel and Jacks. 133 for 2, just coming to the end of the 27th over.
I could have caused complete panic in the studio had I then said, let's go to Sarah Orchard at the rugby. Queen's Park Rangers, Sunderland in the Championship. Shojo Saka.
It's QPR 0, Sunderland 0 so far. QPR did start very brightly. Strikers Ancelar, though, who is yet to score in 15 appearances for Rangers since arriving, could not convert from just 3 yards out. Wilson Isidore's gone really close for Sunderland at the other end. QPR 0, Sunderland 0.
Brighton and Hove Albion lead by a goal to 0. Leeds Plymouth in the Championship. Katie Smith.
Yeah, Leeds 0, Plymouth 0. Relentless pressure from the home side. 80% possession so far. No shots on target yet. Peru, the best effort so far. Side-footing over the bar from inside the box. 0-0.
Nunez, forward ball to McAllister. Over the halfway line, turns. Back towards Nunez. Running forward on this near side. The Liverpool left. Cariola was going back with him. Playing in midfield today. Here is Van Dijk. Gravenberch in the centre circle. Turns away from Welbeck. And now McAllister against his old club. Gakpo coming in off the left. Waits. McAllister is still available. Tsimikas has gone ahead of the Dutchman. Gakpo doesn't need them. Sends over the cross himself. Won't quite reach Salah. Estepinian just threw himself at it. And Liverpool will get a throw that Tsimikas will take back towards Van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk has only suffered 3 home defeats in 104 Premier League games here at Anfield. Leeds, Palace and Nottingham Forest, but they are behind, and Matoma coming forward once again. Over on that far side, the left, they have really been a threat. He looks for the run of Welbeck into the box, but McAllister had tracked the run and needed to.
Yeah, really disciplined from McAllister. Mitoma there going past Alexander-Arnold far too easily. Knocked it around one side, went the other. Then with the outside of his right boot, tried to find Welbeck. And had McAllister not been switched on, Welbeck would have been one-on-one.
And you scoffed at that statistic about the only one goalless draw being back in 1961, and yet good. Within 14 minutes Brighton had maintained it.
I'm pleased that's worked out for you.
Port Vale 0, Barnsley 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup at Vale Park. McAllister strokes it back. Van Dijk is forward. Tsimikas, Gakpo over the halfway line. Szoboszlai in the infield finds McAllister. His forward ball takes a deflection. Hinchelwood wins it back. Rutter helping out. And then there's a foul on Rutter, and it will be a free kick to Brighton just inside their own half as they lead by a goal to 0.
Yeah, and they are dominating that midfield area in these early stages. Liari and Hinchelwood really excellent in knitting things together. Always aware of the right pass, the correct pass. Brighton, the patterns very noticeable.
Matoma, his cross into the penalty area, cut out by Van Dijk, picked back up by Matoma, plays at Ayari. His first touch was a heavy one. Brighton try and win it back. Liverpool instead get it clear. Szoboszlai up towards Nunez in the centre circle of his own half. Ayari, though, slides back in to win it. They have got so much energy in the midfield. Yasin Ayari's 21 years of age. Hinchelwood's still a teenager. They're not going to be short of legs in that midfield today with that tour.
No, absolutely. And, young manager, young midfield. They're a club moving forward.
Here is Welbeck. Uses his strength to hold the ball up, gets it forward towards Rutter. He goes to ground, and the referee, Tony Harrington, gives a free kick that they want to take quickly. McAllister just stands over the ball, not necessarily delaying the restart just as yet, because Brighton are in no position to take it. And Brighton are quite happy to wait for players such as Veltman, Julio and Van Hecke to get forward. Liverpool have formed a line all in red on the edge of their own penalty area, trailing by a goal to 0, but Bournemouth, remember, are leading Manchester City as well down on the south coast. So Estepinian and Ayari stand over this free kick. It's Ayari right-footed, slides it into the path of Welbeck, gets the shot away, and it came off the body of Tsimikas. It's a corner kick in front of the Kop.
Yeah, a bit of invention there. Good run from Danny Welbeck from central area. on the edge of the box. The ball just slid rather than clipped in the right-hand channel. Gets a shot off, and Liverpool with a corner to defend.
I'm sorry, I thought you'd finished. Have you finished?
Yeah, I have now, yeah.
The lowest ranked side in the FA Cup, Hensford Town, have got a second goal against Gainsborough Trinity. 2-0 in the FA Cup first round. Estepinian with the cross from this near side, the right, off his left foot, goes very, very deep, outside the penalty area, far side the Brighton left. Welbeck linking up with Veltman. Matoma helping out as well. Matoma gets away from one challenge to the byline and gets another corner kick, and Brighton are causing problems.
That's beautiful from Matoma. He just lures Darwin Núñez in, makes him look foolish. And eventually Liverpool scramble it behind. Liverpool a yard off it, all over the pitch.
Hayden Hackney's been sent off for Middlesbrough. They're down to 10 men in the Championship. At home to Coventry City, it remains 0-0. Wycombe Wanderers lead York City 2-0 in the FA Cup. Caught Brighton and Hove Albion. 23 minutes played at Anfield, leading by a goal to 0. In front of the Kop have a corner far side the left. It's the Brighton supporters you might be able to hear in the background. In it comes now, in swinger, brushed off the head of Konate, and will go behind for another corner.
So
Van Hecke's having a word with the referee. Referee says it's a coming together. Darwin Núñez is not even looking at the ball. He wrestles him to the ground. I think he's lucky to get away with this, Darwin Núñez. Grapples him, gets him in a headlock in the end.
Chris Kavanagh is the VAR. The corner kick looks like it's going to be taken.
That's not 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think Liverpool have got away with one there.
In comes the corner near side. In fact, it's played to the right corner of the area to Ayari by Estepinian, who runs behind him. His cross then is blocked. Might come to Estepinian, inside to Kariolu on the stretch. Lifted forward by Hinchelwood, back out towards the right side of the box. Two Brighton players both go for the same ball, and Liverpool put the ball out of play. It's for a throw. England, New Zealand in the rugby. Sarah Orchard.
England 3, New Zealand 7. For all of the possession England had, it was New Zealand who scored the opening try, with Mark Talair dotting down in the corner. A wonderful out the back door pass by Wallace Sititi. But at the moment, Marcus Smith has another chance for another 3. It's England 3, New Zealand 7.
Commentary continues on Sports Extra here on 5 Live. Liverpool trailing by a goal to 0. Brighton doing a lot of the attacking. Veltman knocked to the floor, but Veltman is judged to have been the one who's the offender there, and the free kick goes for Liverpool. Let's get an update from Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Still Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0. Ake's fired over the bar from just inside the box, but City looked flat. Remember, the last time that Bournemouth got anything against City was a point in 1999 when the man sat in front of me, Michael Brown, was playing. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
Give him a nudge from behind from me, will you? Rochdale have got a goal back. Rochdale 1, Bromley 2. St Johnstone 0, Hearts 1 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. Ball played up towards Gakpo, left-hand side. Núñez is available if he needs him. Gakpo, though, cuts back inside, finds Szoboszlai, spreads it out towards the right. Alexander-Arnold's forward ball. Salah tries to latch onto it. The goalkeeper for Bruggen was quickly off his goal line. Last touch off the knees of Salah behind for a goal kick. With Brighton still lead. 1-0 Chris Sutton.
They work it really well, Liverpool, from left to right. Alexander-Arnold picks up the ball, edge of the box. He's just heavy with the pass with the underlap to Mo Salah. Bruggen makes the save.
Bournemouth are ahead. Ipswich, Leicester is goalless, as is Forest against West Ham. Latest from St Mary's, Chris Coles.
As is Southampton, Everton, and the pattern of the game well set. Southampton with plenty of possession, Everton dangerous on the counter-attack, but little in the way of goalmouth action. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
Brighton clear the ball away. Stretching header forward by Szoboszlai. Now with Julia once again just outside the penalty area, back with Verbruggen. So that goal for Brighton has maintained a good record for Brighton of scoring. They've only failed to score 1 in 13 now, and they found Ruta here, and Ruta is forward and saved by the legs of Kelleher. That was a real chance for Brighton. Pierced the Liverpool back line, and Ruta knows he's looking up at the heavens.
Yep, Brighton should be 2 up, 1v1, got the other side of Van Dijk. The ball was wonderful, a curling ball in the middle of the park. I think it may have been Hinchelwood who played it. Perfect pass, and Kelleher with the save. Crucial save. Brighton should be 2 up.
As it is, they only lead by a goal to 0 here as to Nunez, couldn't control it, cleared by Van Hekke. Liverpool player is down on the edge of the penalty area. It's McAllister who's once again in the wars. That's a warning, a clear warning for Liverpool.
Yeah, well, we know Brighton are capable. They mix the game up so well. Ruta with this, pulling his shirt over his head because of that miss, because how crucial that could be. It's McAllister who's down again. He's been in the wars. He's actually just caught by, I think it's Veltman on the edge of the box, who blocks his run. Takes a while to get up, but just seeing this chance again. Van Dijk puts him under pressure. Kelleher saves it well with his left boot.
Nottingham Forest, who could move into the top 4 today. There's been a goal. Pat Murphy.
It's gone to Chris Wood, as usual. 1-0 Forest. A routine header 6 yards out. Lovely little dink from Elanga, but where was the marking? Easy for Chris Wood in the form he's in. Forest 1, West Ham 0.
Good vein of form, both player and club. Back-to-back wins before that, leading West Ham by a goal to nil. Still no goals at Portman Road or at St Mary's. Bournemouth, remember, lead the leaders, Manchester City, by a goal to nil. And here, second place Liverpool, still trailing against a Brighton and Hove Albion side that are well worth their lead. Here is Gakpo trying to turn. Referee Tony Harrington says that's a free kick now to the home side.
Yeah, he's been on the periphery, hasn't he, Gakpo, so far, and a chance for Liverpool to whip a free kick into the box. Just the slightest clip from Ayari, left-hand side. Again, they get the delivery right.
Nottingham Forest is the only time this season that Liverpool have failed to score under Arne Slot in the previous 14 games since he's taken charge, replacing Jurgen Klopp. They are trailing by a goal to nil. They're looking for an equaliser here at Anfield as we approach the half hour. They've got a free kick, not quite level with the penalty area on the left-hand side. Alexander-Arnold is the player who stands over it. Tsimikas has walked away. This will be an in-swinger. In it comes now, right-footed. Comes off the head of Ruta and goes behind for a corner kick to Liverpool, far side the right, trailing 1-0.
Yeah, delicious ball in from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Whipped into an area, great pace and accuracy, but defended well from Brighton. Always wonder when Lewis Dunk isn't playing, are they going to be as watertight at the back?
Corner far side the right, Tsimikas with the in-swinger and the header from Konate down into the ground. Konate had another go with his left boot. Little swipe there by Van Dijk. Brighton partially get it away. Edge of the area, Gakpo with his back to goal. Szoboszlai midway through the Brighton half. Diagonal ball towards Salah. Salah brings it under control. Challenged though by Estepina. And Estepina now for Brighton. Actually nutmeg Tsimikas on that far side. But Tsimikas recovers and gets the sliding challenge in. Liverpool now with a turnover in play. Salah slows it down. Infield. McAllister waits. Diagonal ball back out towards Mo Salah. Finds Nunez in the penalty area. Look for the return ball for the Egyptian. And it's a corner kick to Liverpool. Meanwhile, a goal at Hillsborough. Julia Bold.
Yes, Sheffield Wednesday behind. Watford have taken the lead. Ryan Porteous, just after he was booked, managed to open up the scoring here. The first shot on target in this game as well. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Watford 1.
Thanks, Julia. They've lost their last 6 away from home of Watford. Newport County 2, Peterborough 1. Peterborough have got a goal back in the FA Cup first round. You're up to date. Corner kick for Liverpool, far side the right. Another in-swinger comes off a Brighton head in a very crowded penalty area. It was Ruta who got it away to safety. And the ball goes out of play for a Liverpool throw on the halfway line. Goal at Ellen Road in the Championship. Katie Smith.
And it had been coming. It's gone to the home side. Leeds United 1, Plymouth 0. Started from a corner on the right-hand side and finished off outside the area by Dan James. Leeds 1, Plymouth 0.
There's live FA Cup action, incidentally, on BBC Two tonight, 5:15. A local derby, Northampton against Kettering. That'll be a special afternoon for Graham Carr, who will be at Sixfields, I'm sure, manager of both the sides during his career, as we'll go to Ipswich and Lee Blakeman.
Ipswich 0, Leicester 0. Chances for Leicester, though, for Tower with a left-footed curler from the edge of the area. Good save by Muric, and then Buonanotte has tested the Ipswich keeper from distance as well. Good game, this, but it's Ipswich 0, Leicester 0 still.
What do you make of this game, 13 minutes to the break?
I think Brighton have been pretty comfortable. Should be further ahead. That midfield, they've dominated the midfield area so far. Just Liverpool are just sloppy, aren't they? Trent Alexander-Arnold drifting offside, looking along the line. They've just been really careless in this opening half an hour.
Chris Sutton says Liverpool are sloppy. What does Will Perry say about Manchester City?
Just one gear, I'd say. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0. Zabani did really well to intercept a Foden cross with Haaland lurking, and Silva denied by Kirkes' sliding block at the far post. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
BBC Radio 5 Live, the World Service, and on the BBC Sounds app. Gakpo goes to ground far too easily under the challenge of Rutte. And the former Leeds United man has got time deep inside his own half to clear this ball, and then held on to it before he was closed down and put Veltman under pressure. But Brighton get a throw on the right as Fabian Hürzeler, the 31-year-old German coach, patrols that technical area. 5 in his squad are older than him. Imagine being older than your manager.
But it's, players listen. If the manager talk sense.
Risky back pass by Ayari, but cleared away by the Brighton defence. York City have got a goal back. Wycombe 2, York City 1. That's in the FA Cup first round. Liverpool midway through the Brighton half lose the ball. McAllister goes in search of it. Hinchelwood passes the ball back to Verbruggen, and Liverpool try and press. Hinchelwood will clear, closed down by Nunez behind for a goal kick. Another goal at Ellen Road. Katie Smith.
The floodgates have opened. It's Leeds 2, Plymouth 0. This one messy, but a nice sliding finish from Peru to see that home. The top scorer going, yeah, hey, what, it's mine. 5 goals for him now. Leeds 2, Plymouth 0.
Port Vale have equalised at home to Barnsley, and in the FA Cup, Bradford City are behind at Valley Parade. Bradford City 0, Aldershot Town 1 is a latest score. Brighton leading here 1-0. 11 minutes to go to the break on 5 Live. Veltman to the goal scorer, Kadiolu. Rutte couldn't take it on the turn. Liverpool now with Gakpo on the edge of his own penalty area. Actually plays the ball back to a rather narrow back line where the right back, Alexander-Arnold, goes to walking pace. Out to Tsimikas, his opposite full-back, Van Dijk. Brighton, though, still pressing. Liverpool are having to play the ball across the back to Konate. Now towards Alexander-Arnold. Matoma is lurking.
It's all a little bit slow, though, isn't it, from Liverpool? And Brighton just dropping back now. Tsimikas in possession. Very comfortable at this moment in time, Brighton.
Szoboszlai and Tsimikas exchange passes. Liverpool across the back, work it to Konate. Alexander-Arnold has gone into a inverted role at the moment. Salah is out wide on the right. Liverpool are being patient. Wicket at the cricket, Dan Norcross.
Yeah, finally, Casey Carty has been bowled for googly from Adil Rashid. He got inside edge, it cannoned onto his pad, back onto the stumps. It breaks the partnership by 143. It scores 155 for 3 at the start of the 31st over.
Van Hecker runs the ball out of defence, does well actually under pressure, and maybe a break is on here for Brighton. Matoma charging forward. Welbeck joins the attack. Matoma now back to him, left-hand side, delivers the cross. Kadiolu again on the volley, right-footed. That was a lovely sweeping move from Brighton. All it needed was the finish, and the goal scorer couldn't match his earlier effort. Right-footed, volleyed over the top into the cop.
It's brilliant from Brighton on the break, but Liverpool really lacking aggression in the challenge. Van Hecker going through a couple of challenges on the edge of his own box. They break down the far end, and Matoma stands up. A wonderful ball left-footed to Kadiolu, who volleys high and wide. What an opportunity.
Liverpool haven't really created much since that Verbruggen one-handed save from Nunez. Since then, Brighton have scored 1 and created another 2, and they're coming forward again. Ayari, he's overhit that. It's going to peter out for a goal kick. Back to Hillsborough, another goal. Julia Vold.
Yes, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 1 right now. Marvin Johnson with the assist. He did the hard work for Michael Smith to equalise for the home side. We waited half an hour for some shots on target. We've had 2. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 1.
And another goal in South Yorkshire. Rotherham United 0, Cheltenham 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup first round. 9 minutes to go to half-time, but Brighton the better side.
Yep, they are. There's a lethargy about Liverpool. Szoboszlai doesn't look like he can move. Looks like he's running in treacle. A lot of the Liverpool players just a yard or 2 off it.
Both sides made 8 changes when they met at the Amex in the League Cup. Liverpool winning that game by 3 goals to 2. All 5 goals were scored in the second half. Well, the way it's going, they're going to need a second half performance like that one on Wednesday night at the moment, because they're very flat. They're trailing by a goal to nil. And Brighton the superior side. Let's get an update from Nottingham Forest. Pat Murphy.
It's still Forest 1, West Ham 0, but an example of Forest tenacity and hunger. Elanga and White, they hassle the West Ham defenders out of their measure strike. And not when thousands of Forest fans and acclamation and affection. The power is with Forest at the moment. They lead West Ham 1-0.
Rotherham United have equalised at home to Cheltenham 1-1 in that FA Cup first round tie. Konate's forward ball. Gakpo had gone central, beaten in the air by Van Hecke. Welbeck coming back to help out Ayari. They're saying that he was caught by McAllister. The referee's given the free kick. Ayari has stayed down. It'll be a free kick to Brighton, who lead 1-0.
Yeah, Brighton players not happy about the challenge from McAllister on Ayari. It's a bouncing ball. I think both players make a genuine attempt to win it, but McAllister does catch Ayari on the follow-through. He hasn't got going yet, has he, McAllister? He's been off the pace.
112 appearances and 20 goals for Brighton during his 4 years at the Amex for the World Cup winner, who's just had a stern talking to by referee Tony Harrington, as Brighton still lead 1-0 here on 5 Live. We've got just under 7 minutes to go to half-time. Blackpool with Steve Bruce back in the dugout, leading at Gillingham in the FA Cup. Gillingham 0, Blackpool 1. Kadiolu, who's actually in acres of space on this near side, the right, but they went towards that far side, the left, towards Matoma. But both Kadiolu and Matoma, it's almost as if they're playing 4 up front the way that they're attacking at the minute.
Yep, Matoma wide on that left, Kadiolu wide on the right, looking for that switch of play.
Another goal at Ellen Road. Katie Smith.
And the home fans are singing "You're Getting Sacked in the Morning." That is directed to Wayne Rooney. It is Leeds 3, Plymouth 0. This time it's Aronson. It was Peru with the ball inside the area, back to goal. It ricochets off the defender to Aronson, who taps it home for 3.
It was always in the... it was never going to get the most welcome of receptions at Ellen Road was Wayne Rooney. Still yet to win away from home this season, and that search will go on. 3-0 down, as that was a risky ball by Kelleher towards Konate, who on the stretch managed to get rid of it.
Well, it was risky because Kelleher was out over by the left touchline and played a square ball to Konate with, Welbeck just behind him, who would have had an open goal had he got there first.
From the throw down the line, Ruta gets away from Gakpo. Firm challenge comes in from McAllister. Liverpool win the ball and give it away. Veltman with the interception. Hinchelwood now towards Ayari. He was fouled. Direct free kick, 25 yards out from goal. And it's fractionally right of centre. 5 minutes to go to the break, as Barnet have equalised at Exeter City in the FA Cup. Exeter 1, Barnet 1. But this is a dangerous free kick for Brighton.
Oh, it is. Do you know what? I'm trying to think of a first half where I can remember Liverpool getting such a going over. Brighton have been so dominant, and what a chance this is. What, 23 yards out? 24?
Yeah, you're probably about right. You sure you can see right without your glasses?
That's probably why I'm right.
Estepinian or Welbeck to take the free kick. It's a direct free kick. Liverpool have everybody back. Certainly suits the left foot of Estepinian. But he's going to leave it instead for Welbeck. Ooh, just brushed the outside of the side netting and goes out for a goal kick. Goal in the FA Cup at Southend. Hamish Marshall.
Charlton have doubled their lead here, just short of half-time at the perfect time. Zach Mitchell, a header from a free kick at the far post. It's National League Southend 0, Charlton 2.
Harry Kane, I notice, has scored 2 goals for Bayern Munich as they're leading Union Berlin by 3-0. Let's get an update from Ipswich. Lee Blakeman.
Ipswich 0, Leicester 0. What a chance for Connor Chaplin. In from the right on his left foot. 22 yards out. Bullet shot. Just wide of the top corner. Should have been in, but it's still Ipswich 0, Leicester 0.
Under 4 minutes to go to half-time. Manchester City are still trailing at Bournemouth. Nottingham Forest are leading West Ham by a 0-0. Southampton 0, Everton 0. Brighton then now with Ayari, who's gone for a very ambitious effort from inside the centre circle. And it was easily caught by Kelleher. And then the ball is rolled out and then hit long by Alexander-Arnold out towards Salah. Rides up his chest, off his head, like a performing seal, and then as he runs forward on that right-hand side, will go behind for a corner kick. Tonbridge Angels 0, Harborough Town 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup.
I don't think I've ever heard Mo Salah compared to a seal.
Performing seal.
Performing seal, okay.
Their first appearance in the first round, and Harbour Town are leading. 3 minutes to half-time. Coventry City have taken the lead at the Riverside in the Championship against the 10 men of Middlesbrough. Corner kick for Liverpool, in-swinger. Fisted out by Verbruggen. Edge of the area, Szoboszlai chips it back towards the right corner. Estupiñán with his cushioned header forward. Salford City 2, Shrewsbury Town 1 is the latest score, also in the FA Cup. And that far side, Brighton give the ball away. And then Liverpool likewise, and it will aimlessly run out for a throw. Sloppy from Liverpool once again. Bournemouth, Manchester City, Will Perry.
Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0. Nunes cross. Haaland brought it down at the far post, didn't connect properly, and it bubbled just narrowly wide. And Haaland is not moving well. He's grimacing. Looked like he's got a problem with his left calf. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
Could be an interesting second half at the top of the Premier League as those Arsenal fans make their way back home after seeing their side lose at Newcastle United. Newcastle United, it remains a fortress, really, at St James's under Eddie Howe. In fact, only Brighton, with their recent win, their only defeat in the last 15 games on Tyneside under Eddie Howe. So building on that, excellent win against Chelsea in the League Cup in midweek. 1-0 against Arsenal today. And Isak has scored now 3 in 3. We've got about 90 seconds remaining of normal time. The ball goes back to Verbruggen. Forward to Van Hecker, able to turn, central position, almost midway through his own half, out towards Estupiñán. They pass the ball so confidently.
Yeah, I mean, they just look so much sharper, more dynamic. And they are in total control at Anfield. They look like the home team. Brighton do. I mean, that dominant.
Bristol Rovers are leading Weston-super-Mare in the FA Cup by 1-0. We've got 60 seconds remaining. I'm just wondering where we're going to go next on BBC Radio 5 Live. And it will be Southampton, but they've given the ball away. Welbeck goes down by the challenge from McAllister just outside the area. There was a covering defender. It should just be a yellow. Indeed it is. We'll go quickly to Chris Coles at St Mary's.
Won't take too much of your time here. 0-0 Southampton-Everton. Half a chance for Cameron Archer, dragging a shot wide from about 7 yards. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
Well, we've said that Liverpool was sloppy, guilty of giving the ball away, and McAllister just catching Welbeck as he was about to enter the penalty area. Shown yellow, free kick, very dangerous position.
It's such a careless pass from Trent Alexander-Arnold. He gives it away just outside his own box, and then the ball slipped to Welbeck. McAllister catches him. It's a yard outside the box, but you're right, there was a covering defender, but can Danny Welbeck be on the money this time round?
We are entering 2 minutes of stoppage time. Danny Welbeck, 3 in 3 in the Premier League, looking for 4 in a row for the first time in his league career. Eyes this up and shoots, and straight at Quabine Kelleher, who takes it in towards his midriff. As there's been another goal at Southend in the FA Cup, Hamish Marshall.
Lifeline for Southend, penalty, controversial handball at close range. Jack Bridge didn't mind, he stepped up, got one back at Southend 1, Charlton 2.
First time in round, they're looking back in the 6 years since they've been in round 2. Keeps alive their hopes of doing that as they've reduced the arrears. Southend 1, Charlton 2. News of that goal at Bristol Rovers, Molly Stevens.
Yeah, Bristol Rovers 1, Weston-super-Mare 0. I've got to say, Bristol have been threatening in this last few minutes of Rovers. They've been brilliant, but Jamie Lindsay with the shot, though it came off the hands of the Western keeper, Max Harris. So whether or not it'll go down as an own goal, but for now, Bristol Rovers 1, Weston-super-Mare 0.
Thank you, Molly. Rotherham 1, Cheltenham 2, Woking 0, Cambridge United 1. Goals elsewhere in the FA Cup first round. Liverpool still trailing. We're in stoppage time here at Anfield. Bournemouth lead Manchester City by 1-0. Forest are 1-0 up at home to West Ham. The games at Ipswich and Southampton are goalless. Coventry to come after Sports Report. Wolves Crystal Palace at Molineux. As Liverpool, all in red, playing from right to left, out towards Szoboszlai, chips a good ball forward towards Gakpo. Gakpo still looking for his first goal in the Premier League this season, wins a corner kick.
I think Van Hecker takes a really sore one there, in an area you don't want to take a sore one. Clever little ball from Szoboszlai, and near the left touchline to Gakpo. Swing of the left boot, can Liverpool get back in it? just on half-time. They don't deserve to.
With the exception of that save from Verbruggen after 9 minutes, they haven't really tested the Brighton and Hove Albion goalkeeper. Corner kick in towards the near post by Alexander-Arnold. Headed behind by Estepinian for another corner kick, as the referee, Tony Harrington, will not allow that corner kick to be taken again because he's blown his half-time whistle. And Brighton and Hove Albion are leading by a 1-0, and it is a lead, Chris Sutton, that they thoroughly deserve.
Yep, they have been brilliant of Brighton. They've been sharp, they've been incisive, they've been brave, they've deserved the lead. Possibly should have been further ahead. Ruta and Kadiolu had a couple of other opportunities to extend their lead, but Liverpool have been lousy. They have been miles off it.
Yep, luckily for a Liverpool point of view, it's only the one, because Brighton have had chances to increase their lead from Kadiolo's goal, and a fine goal it was too after 14 minutes. Half-time then at Anfield, Liverpool 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Turning into a very interesting afternoon in the Premier League. Arsenal beaten, Liverpool losing, Manchester City losing. They're still playing at the City Ground, and West Ham's job has just got a lot more difficult. Pat Murphy.
They're down to 10 men. Edson Alvarez has been sent off for a second bookable offence. Silly. Elanga cleared down the right side. He just needed to jockey him or just give him a bit of space, but he dived in. He can't complain. He's gone. Ironically, West Ham had a chance earlier on. Paqueta, fingertips of the keeper, led to a corner. A microcosm of West Ham's problems in 1 minute. Forest lead West Ham 1-0.
And it could be a very good afternoon for Nottingham Forest, who would be going fourth at the moment with Brighton winning at Liverpool, and Arsenal would be dropping down to fifth. Manchester City, as I say, Liverpool losing, Arsenal beaten, City losing as well. Will Perry.
Manchester City 0 at the break. Semenyo's fourth Premier League goal of the season, spinning and finding the bottom corner after a brilliant Kirkez pullback. Before that, Ederson was forced into a double save to deny Semenyo and Kluivert. Pep Guardiola's side absolutely miles off it at the moment, so shaky at the back, and yet to have a shot on target. At the break, Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
To the Rugby Union, England, New Zealand. You can listen to this on Sports Extra. Sarah Orchard.
32 minutes played, England 9 and it's New Zealand 14. 3 Marcus Smith penalties for the men in white, but for the All Blacks 2 brilliant tries. The second came through Will Jordan after a gaping hole was left inside of the England defensive line to run into the corner. They've still got 8 minutes to go till half-time. England 9, New Zealand 14.
Half-time at Portman Road, Lee Blakeman.
Ipswich 0, Leicester 0. Good game this, just needs a goal. Leicester's best chance was early on. Vardy squaring to Mavadini, unmarked at the back post, and he completely mishit his shot. For Tau and Buonanotte have both tested Muric too. Ipswich have looked good going forwards, just not taking their chances. A Chaplin thunderbolt from the edge of the D and an O'Shea header inside the 6-yard box. The best of them. Ipswich 0, Leicester 0.
The bottom 6 all facing each other today. Wolves Palace, our game at 5:30. Ipswich Leicester, that one that Lee's at, is one of them. That's goalless. The other one is Southampton Everton. That's goalless. Chris.
And not a classic. The only glimmer of an opening goal, Cameron Archer placing a shot just wide from an acute angle. This is a game littered with errant passing, often at the crucial moment to end promising attacks. Both teams guilty of that, and both need to improve dramatically in the final third to avoid closing tonight's match of the day. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
Pat Murphy at the City Ground.
Manchester City 0.
At half-time, Wood, a routine header. Very poor marking. Great work by Mourinho down the left. But within a minute, just for half-time, it summed up West Ham's performance. Paqueta had a chance. Good volley. Well saved. Sells through a rucket player for a corner. And then Alvarez, already on a yellow, stupidly carved down Elanga when he was really going nowhere down the right side. If you're going to go diving in for a tackle, make it in the penalty area, not 30 yards from the goal. He's gone. West Ham could have no complaints. Another pallid performance. Forest 1, West Ham 0.
In the Championship earlier, Blackburn 0, Sheffield United 2, Oxford 1, Swansea 2, and Stoke beat Derby by 2-1. We'll start the 3 o'clock games with the leaders, Sunderland at QPR. Shojo Saka.
QPR 0, Sunderland 0. Well contested first half with chances at both ends. Striker Zancella, though, still awaiting his first QPR goal after fluffing his lines from 3 yards. Steve Cook has missed a headed chance for them. time. For Sunderland, captain Dan Neil has hit the post from 20 yards out. Wilson Isidore has also gone close. Half-time, QPR 0, Sunderland 0.
Horrible afternoon for Wayne Rooney at Ellen Road. Katie Smith.
Leeds 3, Plymouth 0. It took 30 minutes for Leeds to break through what's become now a Plymouth back 6. Rooney making 6 changes today for this one, and then they just couldn't stop scoring. 3 goals in 8 minutes. Dan James, the pick of them, booming shot from 25 yards out, and they are heading back into the top 2. Leeds licking their lips for this second half. 80% possession in 45 minutes, 14 shots to Plymouth 0. Plymouth 3-0 down now at half-time for a second game in a row. Leeds 3, Plymouth 0.
Watford have lost their last 6 away in all competitions. They're stopping that run today as things stand. Julia Bold.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 1, and we waited almost half an hour for a shot on target. I thought it was never going to happen. Quadrobar battled, though, to keep the ball in play, sending it into the box for Ryan Porteous to poke it over the line for Watford's goal. At the other end, Marvin Johnson set up Michael Smith. He flashed the ball past the keeper to equalise. Not been much quality when it's come to finishing. At the break, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 1.
Elsewhere in the Championship this afternoon, it's goalless between Cardiff, who are unbeaten, and 5, and Norwich, who are unbeaten in their last 7. Hull lead bottom of the table. Portsmouth by a 0-0 at the break. João Pedro getting that. Middlesbrough are down to 10 at home to Coventry. Hayden Hackney sent off for 2 yellow cards, and they trail by a 0-0. Bobby Thomas with the goal for Mark Robbins' side. They're still playing at Deepdale, where it's Preston 0, Bristol City 1. Yu Hirakawa with the goal for Liam Manning's side. Let's go into the FA Cup, and we will start at Stevenage. Charlie Slater.
Stevenage 0, Guiseley 0. 88 places between them in the pyramid, but there's nothing to separate them on the pitch. Guiseley had the ball in the net inside 5 minutes, but Will Longbottom's header was ruled out for offside. But that's your lot. Guiseley will be thrilled by the first half's monotony. Me, not so much. This is an early shout for a penalty shootout. 0-0.
Bristol Rovers lead Western-super-Mare at the break. Molly Stevens.
Yeah, Bristol Rovers 1, Western-super-Mare 0. What a fantastic first half of football. Western started so well, but ultimately they had to defend one too many shots, and in the end it was Jamie Lindsay who got the breakthrough. Isaac Hutchinson set him up, and he's been a constant threat for Rovers. Western have been tireless in their defending, but losing their captain, Emlyn Lewis, to what looked like a really nasty ankle injury after he was so influential in the early stages, has really turned the tide here. At half-time, it's Bristol Rovers 1, Western-super-Mare 0.
Southend have got themselves back into it at Roots Hall. Hamish Marshall.
Yeah, it's they're 2-1 down at half-time, so it's still the chance of a shock here in front of a virtual sellout crowd, thanks to that late first-half penalty for Southend converted by Jack Bridge. They trailed to 2 goals, both from far-post headers at either end of the half. Miles Leyburn and Zach Mitchell, the men on target. Both sides have also missed great chances. Excellent cup tie, this.
Elsewhere in a game between 2 League 2 sides, Barrow 0, Doncaster 0. It's Brackley 0, Braintree 0. Bradford of League 2 trail National League Aldershot by a 0-0 at the break. Scarborough, who are in the National League North, they're managed by Jonathan Greening, the former Manchester United and Middlesbrough midfielder, and they are goalless at League One Burton at the break. Carlisle 0, Wigan 0. Carlisle down to 10 in that game. Ethan Robson sent off in the 14th minute, a straight red card there. Chesterfield lead Horsham by a 0-0. Will Griggs 8th of the season, the difference between the two sides. Crewe 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. Exeter 1, Barnet 1. At Gillingham 0. Blackpool 1, Grimsby 0, Wealdstone 0, Hensford lead Gainsborough by 2-0. It's Maidenhead 0, Crawley 0, Newport 2, Peterborough 1, so that's League 2 leading League 1. Port Vale 1, Barnsley 1. Reading and Fleetwood are goalless. Bromley of League 2 are 2-1 up at Rochdale. Michael Cheeks got one of their goals. He's now got 8 for the season. Rotherham 1, Cheltenham 2. Both Cheltenham goals scored by Joel Colwill, so he's now got 5 for the season. Rushall 0, Accrington Stanley 0. Salford of League 2 lead League 1 Shrewsbury by 2-1. Matty Lunder's got both Salford goals. Solihull Moors 0, Maidstone 0. Stockport 0, Forest Green Rovers 0, Swindon 0, Colchester 0, Harborough Town are 1-0 up at Tunbridge Angels, Tranmere 1, Oldham 1, goalless between Walsall and Bolton, and Woking and Cambridge, and it's Worthing 0, Morecambe 1. and Wickham lead the National League leaders York by 2-1. In the Scottish Premiership this afternoon, St Johnstone 0, Hearts 1 and St Mirren 0, Ross County 0. First Scottish League Cup semi-final is at 5:30. That's Celtic against Aberdeen. In the Championship, Adrianians 0, Hamilton 2, Dunfermline 0, Partick 0. Falkirk lead Morton by 2-0, and it's goalless between Livingston and Queen's Park. In Scottish League One earlier, it finished Dumbarton 0, Cove Rangers 3. All the others are half-times. Alloa 3, Annan 0, Arbroath 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Inverness 1, Kelty Hearts 1, and Queen of the South 1, Montrose 0. In League 2, Clyde 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, East Fife 1, Stirling 1, Edinburgh lead Forfar by 1-0, Elgin 1, Stranraer 0, and Peterhead 1, Spartans 1. You're up to date with all the football. Let's go to the cricket. Second men's one-day international. West Indies batting against England. Daniel Norcross.
They're into the 35th over, and it's 189 for 3. The West Indies are on the charge. They lost those 2 early wickets to reduce them to 12 for 2, but a partnership of 143 between Kesey Carty and Shea Hope has got them on track. And now Shafane Rutherford, the left-hander, is swinging for the hills. He has 25 from 17. Shea Hope, who's got his first half-century for over a year in this format, is 80 from 97. And with 15 overs to go, the sky's the limit. 300 plus they'll be eyeing here. They're 190 for 3.
In the Rugby Union, England 12, New Zealand 14 as they approach half-time at Twickenham. In the Women's Premiership earlier, Exeter beat Saracens 29-12. In Rugby League, England's women beat Wales 82-0 earlier, and England's men are doing well as well against Samoa. Richard Stead.
They are, Mark, but it's obviously a much closer contest as well. 28-12 as we head into the final 20 minutes. Samoa came out strongest in the second half. They scored first through Jake Tago, but then Herbie Farnworth has just scored his second, which might put England just far enough in front. As I say, still 20 minutes to go. England 28, Samoa 12.
Tight between England and New Zealand. Sarah.
20 seconds to go until the half-time whistle, and it's still New Zealand who lead by 2. England 12, New Zealand 14. A couple of tries then for the Kiwis. Mark Talea and Will Jordan the difference, but it's been the boot of Marcus Smith that has kept England in this so far. They're having one last attack, but the hoot is likely to go any second. It's England 12, New Zealand 14.
1 minute to 4 o'clock. Carl Hartley has the news.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Thanks, Mark. The Conservatives have chosen Kemi Badenoch as their new leader, accepting the job. She said her first responsibility is to hold Labour to account, and the second is to prepare for government. The Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, says he's made his country's biggest peacetime deployment of the army and the police to help the victims of this week's flash flooding. At least 211 people are known to have died in Valencia, with many more missing. The World Health Organization has resumed its polio vaccination program for children in Gaza. It was suspended last week because of continuing Israeli attacks on the north of the territory. And a search is continuing for a man who is believed to have gone missing while on a solo boat trip off the Pembrokeshire coast. Police, Coast Guard and RNLI volunteers were alerted after Chris Ellery failed to return home as planned on Thursday afternoon.
What have we got? On BBC iPlayer. All I know is somebody's behind all this.
You can just walk away.
You should investigate. I got the blues. These aren't crime dramas.
What the hell are you playing at?
They're a break from your work dramas.
How does all this make you feel?
Well done, everybody.
Dead and Buried, Line of Duty, Luther, and loads more.
We're throwing you a lifeline here, mate.
Whoever you are, whyever you stream, BBC iPlayer. This is 5 Live Sports
with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Back to Anfield shortly, where Liverpool trailed Brighton by 1-0. Bournemouth lead Manchester City by 1-0. And at lunchtime, Arsenal beaten 1-0 at Newcastle. Here's Mikel Arteta.
Well, I think we started the game really well, and we're very dominant and created some situations and playing in the right way that we wanted. When we had that control after a long ball, second ball goes wide, they put an unbelievable delivery. We don't defend those two actions well enough, but credit to them as well for doing that. And then we won it down. You know, you're going to have to play a different game. They try to drag you into a certain way of playing that game, and we didn't have enough answers to get out of there consistently enough to be more dominant and then more of a threat constantly to be able to score the goals. And we discussed it. A goal would have changed completely the dynamic of that game. We had 2-3 big chances. We didn't put them away, but I think the level of consistency that we demanded ourselves to be more of a threat, we didn't realize today that we needed more.
See everything match the day 10:20 on BBC One. Just to remind you of the Premier League half times then. It is Bournemouth 0, Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0, Ipswich 0, Leicester 0, Nottingham Forest 1, West Ham 0, West Ham down to 10 as well, Southampton 0, Everton 0, and at Anfield, Liverpool 0, Brighton 1. They are back out for the second half. If you're listening this time last week, you will know that Ian Dennis's diet was derailed at half time as he hit the sweets that were provided by the producer. How has it gone this week?
Chris Sutton has bought me a chocolate bar.
And have you eaten it?
Too right, I have. Didn't take him long. We're back underway. Liverpool have been forced into making a change. You might recall that the last knockings of the half, just before the corner kick, I'd said there was a Liverpool player down. That was Canate. So after the half-time whistle, he'd stayed down and he used his shirt as a sling to protect his arm, and he looks in a really bad way. A lot of pain. Went straight to the doctors in the tunnel at half-time. He hasn't reappeared as Liverpool tried to get McAllister on the ball, so he has been replaced by Joe Gomez. It's the only change that either of the two teams have made at the break, but there'll be particular concern there for Canate to that injury with the run of games coming up, notably, of course, Bayer Leverkusen here on Tuesday. We'll try and bring you as much reaction as we can about that in Sport Report after the game. But Brighton and Hove Albion thoroughly deserve their lead. They're leading by a goal to nil, and I'll run through the two teams for you now as Liverpool, all in red, are playing from left to right. That'll be a yellow card, surely, for delaying the restart by Hinchelwood. He held onto the ball. Liverpool wanted it back. Hinchelwood eventually released it. He's lucky there to get away with a yellow card. Kelleher is in goal. Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Gomez and Tsimikas, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, Salah, Nunez and Gakpo. Brighton Hove Albion in their white and royal blue striped shirts, royal blue shorts. Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Julio Van Hecke, Estepinian, Cariolo, Hinchelwood, Ayari, Matoma, Ruta and Welbeck. In comes the free kick, Gomez with a header, and it was straight at Van Bruggen. He has never scored in his previous 269 appearances for club and country. He might not ever have a better opportunity. Timed his run to perfection. Beat the offside trap, straight at Verbruggen.
Yeah, he's too safe with the header. Had he headed that back towards the far corner, Verbruggen may have had a problem. He gratefully gathered. You can hear the Liverpool crowd at the start of the second half trying to lift the team.
Portsmouth have equalised at Hull City in the Championship. So on a day when Arsenal were beaten at St James's Park by Newcastle United, Liverpool second in the table, trailing, and the lead is Manchester City, still behind Will Perry.
Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0, but seconds into the second half, Ederson forced into another huge save, this time to deny Evan Nielsen with his legs. Haaland is back out for the second half despite limping before the break. Bournemouth 1, Man City 0.
Thank you, Will. In the FA Cup first round, Solihull Moors 1, Maidstone United 0. Estepinian, early ball, Welbeck onto it, tried to chip the ball towards the right side of the penalty area, and Liverpool have to force it behind for a corner kick. Reading leading Fleetwood Town by a goal to nil in the FA Cup. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, it's a brilliant move down the Brighton left, quick, incisive passing, and Welbeck just trying to stand the ball up to the far post. Cariolo was there. They're playing through Liverpool with such ease, Brighton.
Albion is the chant from those who've travelled behind the goal in the bottom tier of the Anfield Road and away towards our left-hand side. In comes the corner kick, headed away by Van Dijk. Estepinian, I remember him playing for Villarreal against Liverpool in the Champions League semi-final just a couple of years ago. Welbeck gets the ball back for Brighton, out towards Ayari. Matoma's going to go on the overlap. Tsimikas closes him down. Tsimikas, who had wandered across from that far side to this near side, the Liverpool right, and it will be a Brighton throw-in as they lead 1-0. Chesterfield 2, Horsham 0 is the latest score in the FA Cup on this busy afternoon of sport on 5 Live Sport. Matoma on the left, Ruta slides into the challenge, loses the ball. Liverpool potentially now with Szoboszlai. Leaves it for McAllister, slows it down and goes behind him towards Van Dijk. Midway through the Liverpool half, forward ball, turning, was McAllister. Up towards Nunez, dangled out his right leg, went straight through towards Van Hecke. Alexander-Arnold keeps the ball in play. Down the line, he looks towards Salah. Well read, though, by Estupiñán. And he looks for the return as well, around the back of Alexander-Arnold. They've just looked far sharper, Brighton.
Yeah, they do. They look fitter, stronger. They've been much better. And they're also on the same wavelength. Liverpool, in this game so far, really unlike them, not on the same page. Even that pass from Trent Alexander-Arnold into Salah. Salah had made the run in beyond. He played the pass short. Estupiñán read it well.
Liverpool are yet to win this season when they've conceded the first goal, that draw against Arsenal and the defeat here at home to Nottingham Forest. And they've got to try and get their way back into the game as they patiently build from the back. Alexander-Arnold in the centre circle, out towards Tsimikas far side, looking towards Gakpo, comes in off that far left touchline. Brighton have got everybody back behind the ball. Matoma then presses Gomez, releases the ball to Van Dijk, forward towards Gravenberch. Liverpool haven't had that sustained spell of pressure in the game as yet. Closed down Alexander-Arnold by Welbeck. Van Dijk bellows at him, and they're going to force the ball back. We'll go to Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Manchester City 0, City's best chance of the game. Nunez found Foden, whose side foot finish from 10 yards was just wide. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
Nunez loses out to the sliding Van Hecke. Ball forward by Ayari. Gravenberch and Szoboszlai get in each other's way. The Liverpool crowd are just starting to get a little bit agitated as they now find their voices and urge Liverpool on. A goal in the FA Cup at Southend, Hamish Marshall.
And it's an equaliser from Southend. They've come from 2-0 down. It's 2-2 early in the second half. Bounced around in the penalty area, and it finally looks if it's gone in from Macaulay Bonne against his old club. 2-2.
Bradford City have equalised against the National League team Aldershot Town at Valley Parade, 1-1. Liverpool are attacking. Gakpo coming in off the left, chips the ball in towards the penalty area. Estupiñán, oh, that was risky. Just arched his back, tried to guide his header to Verbruggen, and went perilously close to the goal, behind for a corner.
That's the old heart in mouth, that one, for a defender. Yeah, Estupiñán trying to be clever, 6 yards out, just tries to cushion his header to Verbruggen. Gets too much on it, and fortunately for him, behind for a Liverpool corner, could have been worse.
Tsimikas places the ball down. That's Chris Sutton, the familiar voice of Chris Sutton on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tsimikas with a corner, didn't beat the first man.
I mean, dear me.
Comes back towards Tsimikas, he'll try again. He swings this one over. Van Hecke heads it away in front of his goalkeeper. Kariolu rises, heads it away, only as far as Szoboszlai. Alexander-Arnold passes the ball out towards that far side. Gakpo with the cross, headed out by Welbeck. Helped further away by Kariolu. Comes down off the right thigh of Alexander-Arnold. His cross swept away only partially. McAllister, 25 yards out from goal. Out towards Gakpo, far side the left. Liverpool looking for an equaliser. Gakpo pulls it in. McAllister! Very good save by Verbruggen. He was so alert, down towards his near post to his right. Strong right hand behind for a corner kick.
Yes, excellent from Cody Gakpo out on the left-hand side. Drags the ball with his right foot onto his left foot, drives to the byline, pulls it back, clips the ball in. McAllister, powerful header at the near post, and it's a smart save from the Brighton keeper, Verbruggen.
Hensford Town, the lowest ranked side in the FA Cup. You might recall they reached round 4 in 1997. They're going through to the second round, it would seem. Now leading Gainsborough Trinity by 3-0 in the FA Cup first round. 8 minutes into the second half. This is the Premier League, live on 5 Live. In comes the in-swinging corner. Gomez was up from the back, headed out by Ayari, headed back by Gravenberch on the edge of the area. He now goes in pursuit of Matoma on this near side. Matoma flicks the ball to keep it in play. Ayari tries to get it up towards Ruta. Szoboszlai gets it back for Liverpool. Liverpool have the bit between their teeth. Tony Harrington, the referee, lets the game flow. McAllister towards Tsimikas. 2 over on that far side, the left. Cardiff City 0, Norwich City 1. In comes the cross. And Chris Sutton says has it. He waited for it to drop and it bounced underneath his right boot. goal at Stevenage in the FA Cup, Charlie Slater.
53 minutes on the clock. Stevenage 1, Guiseley 0. Jamie Reid, the ball just hits him from a yard out and goes into the back of the net. The League One side in front 1-0.
I cannot believe Virgil van Dijk hasn't headed that wonderful ball. Whipped in from the left-hand side, right-footed. He's 6 yards out, decides to volley it. Makes a mess of it, it goes past the post.
Rochdale 2, Bromley 2 in the FA Cup first round. Brighton are now attacking. This is Ruta. Estepinian on the overlap left-hand side of the penalty area, looking to build on their lead. Coming across was Alexander Arnold, and the referee has blown his whistle. And then Alexander Arnold wanted to take the free kick quickly, and then it was just touched away by Estepinian, and he might be getting a yellow card for delaying the restart here. You would think Tony Harrington's going to have a word. Preston North End 1, Bristol City 1 is the latest score in the Championship. Penalty at Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship. Julia Bolt.
Yes, it's gone to Watford. Tom Ince has just walked up to take it. It was Bernard for Sheffield Wednesday with a handball in the box. Tom Ince takes a deep breath as he gets ready to run up to this penalty. Scored, right hand corner. Watford lead 2-1.
Thank you, Julia. So Watford back in front. No other goals to tell you about.
He's let that go, hasn't he, the referee? That's a couple of times you mentioned about Brighton players delaying the restart and no action taken against them. That's a frustration, isn't it, for a lot of teams?
But it is. I mean, sometimes they might not be in a position to take a quick free kick. Liverpool not like they were then. Here is Salah into the penalty area. Salah just tried to slide it in low rather than going for the dink over Verbruggen, and Verbruggen makes the save.
It seemed like he was in two minds. It's a brilliant start to the second half from Liverpool. Long ball from Kelleher, the flick from Sobersley, and Nunes helped it on. Salah one-on-one. He's indecisive, and Verbruggen makes the save.
Walsall 0, Bolton Wanderers 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup. Good game this really is. This is Brighton and Hove Albion now, still leading by a goal to 0. Welbeck to Hinchelwood, opens up his body, right-footed, out towards Cariola, the goal scorer. Fine goal it was after 14 minutes. Hinchelwood makes the run to the edge of the box. Instead, they pass the ball out towards that far side. Simicas into the challenge. A Brighton player, Veltman, dives forward. Liverpool get a throw. Liverpool being fired up now by this crowd. Coming on strong here against Brighton. Let's get an update from St Mary's. Chris Coles.
A bright Everton start to this second half, and finally a save from a goalkeeper. Aaron Ramsdale denying Oral Mangala from the edge of the area. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
The crowd, like Liverpool, were flat in the first half. They're up for it. Liverpool look up for it. Nunez with the cross, left-hand side of the area. Gravenberch controls the ball. Inside right channel of the box. Well read, though, by Ayari with the interception to run it away for Brighton and Hove Albion. He's got Ruta going ahead of him. He runs into trouble. Gomez got the ball. Here is McAllister. McAllister floats it forward. Van Hecken with a cushion header. Tied it up and tied it back towards Verbruggen, who plays the ball out towards Matoma. Can't keep the ball in play. Let's get an update from Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Still Bournemouth 1, Man City 0, but we had a 2-minute break as Haaland was down in all sorts of pain. Lewis Cook went sliding in on him, studs high. VAR cleared it very early, but Haaland absolutely furious. He's back on though. Bournemouth 1, Manchester City 0.
Rotherham 1, Cheltenham 3 is the latest score in the FA Cup. Liverpool are attacking. Gakpo looks for the run of Simicas. Simicas will get there, cuts it back, gets a corner kick, does he? Referee says not. Must have crossed the byline. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, the assistant well placed. I tell you what, though, Liverpool second half, far more aggression in their approach. They've matched Brighton, they've smothered Brighton. Brighton played through Liverpool in the first half, got out easily. You can hear the boos from the Liverpool fans. Verbruggen just taking his time, trying to take the sting out of the game.
Yeah, he won't get away with that in front of the Copford. Time wasting too much longer. His floated ball is headed back by Gravenberch to Salah. Salah right side of the penalty area. Salah tried to pick out McAllister, unmarked on the edge of the box. Brighton get it up towards Ruta, who turns outside the centre circle. Ruta then fouled by Simicas. Referee, though, will let the game flow. Good refereeing. Ruta had stopped, actually came to a standstill, now runs forward. Welbeck's ahead of him, and it goes through towards Keller. A goal at Portman Road. Lee Blakeman.
It's gone to Ipswich. What a goal. Ipswich 1, Leicester 0. Morsey with the ball in from the right. Leif Davis on the volley, left side of the area. What a strike. Ipswich 1, Leicester 0.
Exeter 1, Barnet 2. So Barnet have come from behind in the FA Cup first round. Preston 1, Bristol City 2. Liverpool now with Salah. Estepinian with his strength holds off the Egyptian. And then Hinshelwood towards Matoma, and he will get a throw off Alexander-Arnold. Ayari has stayed down at the moment. He's in pain. There'll be a stoppage in play. Certainly makes for an interesting second half with Liverpool behind, Manchester City behind, and Nottingham Forest looking to make their own progress into the top four. Pat Murphy.
Against 10 men. Remember, Alvarez sent off just for half-time. They're leading 1-0, and it's a mixture as before. Forest just building, and we can't help thinking that West Ham's house is going to fall apart soon. They brought on Antonio, and Soler is making no difference. It's Forest 1, West Ham 0.
Indeed, both Forest and Brighton, as it stands, would both go above Arsenal, who lost earlier today at Newcastle United. The results in the Championship: Stoke City 2, Derby County 1, Oxford United 1, Swansea 2. First win in 7 for Swansea. And Chris Wilder once again working his magic for Sheffield United with a 2-0 win at Blackburn Rovers. When you think that they had 2 points deducted at the start of the season, Sheffield United looking to try and bounce back into the top flight under Chris Wilder. Let's get the team news from our next commentary at 5:30. Alistair Bruce Ball.
Another crunch game at the bottom of the Premier League table. One change for Wolves from the 2-2 draw at Brighton last weekend. Pablo Sarabia gets a first start of the season. Mario Lemina is only on the bench. He's had a calf injury. Adam Wharton and Eberechi Eze both out for Crystal Palace. So the two changes today from the League Cup win against Aston Villa in midweek: Ismaila Sarr and Daichi Kamada, who scored the winner at Villa. They come in.
Well, the FA Cup highlights are on BBC Two tomorrow night at 6:15. But the highlights from today's 31 ties: Hensford Town, the lowest ranked side in the competition, leading Gainsborough 3-0, and Harborough Town in the FA Cup first round for the first time in their history, their first appearance, and now leading at Tonbridge by 2-0. As we go to Queen's Park Rangers, Shojo Saka.
Queen's Park Rangers 0, Sunderland 0, but the league leaders are down to 10 men. Joe Bellingham for a late challenge on Zanchellar. He was very repentant, actually. He went to see if his opponent was okay, but he's off. Sunderland down to 10, QPR 0, Sunderland 0.
Verbruggen continues to test the patience of the Kop. Brighton still lead by 1-0. Ruta gives away a free kick midway through the Liverpool half. Brighton temporarily are down to 10. Ayari still waiting to come back onto the field of play. Now he can come back on as McAllister runs over the halfway line for Liverpool. Still trailing by 1-0 here. The World Service on 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. Out towards the left-hand side it goes. Back then with Tsimikas. And then to Van Dijk. Every outfield player is in the Brighton half. Liverpool all in red, playing from left to right. Strikes the side of Nunez, and it's prodded away by Veltman. Won back, though, by Gravenberch. Alexander-Arnold, central position, chips the ball forward. Gakpo brings the ball under control, can't keep it in play, however, as it just runs away from him at the last moment. Goal at Hillsborough, Julia Bolt.
It's now Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 3, and would you believe it, another penalty. Vakumbayo brought down. He was the man to take it. He went right down the middle to put Watford in front. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 3.
Well, that will end their barren spell of losing their last 6 on their travels. Oldham Athletic, incidentally, in the FA Cup. Mickey Mellon against his old side. They've come from behind of non-league Oldham. They now lead at Prenton Park. Tranmere Rovers 1, Oldham 2. And so Tranmere could be going out in the first round in 3 successive seasons for the first time since 77-78. As Liverpool looking for an equaliser, looking for that ball up towards Estepinian. But we're going to Bournemouth. There's been another goal. Will Perry.
Well, listen to this. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0. City caught on the counter again, across from the left-hand side from Semenyo. And there's Evan Nielsen to turn it past Ederson. They've never beaten City in their history. Is this their day? Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0.
And that long unbeaten run from Manchester City could be coming to an end. However, when they have previously fallen behind this season, they've won 4 out of 4. But Bournemouth gave Liverpool a good test here, didn't they, earlier in the season?
They did, and Matoma just standing in front of Gravenberch there. What an incentive for Liverpool to get back into this game.
Indeed, an equaliser for Liverpool would actually take them to the top of the table on goal difference as a ball spread out towards that far side. They did have that flurry of activity early in the second half. But Brighton are still leading by 1-0. A captivating afternoon ahead.
It is, but where was this intensity from Liverpool in the first half? They were miles off it. It's a good response after half-time. They've had opportunities, not taken them.
Simicast with the ball over the top, headed away by Veltman, the Brighton right back. Remember Alan Devonshire, FA Cup winner in 1980 for West Ham, now manager of Maidenhead United, who lead Crawley of League One by a 0-0 in the FA Cup first round. Brighton and Hove Albion have a throw over on that far side. 64 minutes played, looking for Ruta. Szoboszlai in the midfield loses out. Ruta, when he's dropped back, has certainly been a key player for Brighton in that respect. Estepina leaves it now for Matoma, accelerates to get away from Alexander Arnold. Alexander Arnold sticks with him, throws him to the ground. The referee has given a free kick actually against Matoma. Stockport County lead Forest Green by a 0-0 at Edgeley Park in the FA Cup first round, as Kelleher takes the free kick quickly. So Manchester City trailing 2-0 at Bournemouth. Liverpool here behind. Szoboszlai forward, reaches Salah. Estepina just committed himself too early. Salah holds on to the ball and runs in field. He's midway through the Brighton half. He finds Gakpo, left corner of the box. Gakpo cuts inside and just wide, right-footed. It was close, goal kick.
Yeah, brilliant from Szoboszlai initially, driving up the field and feeding the ball to Salah, who drove inside and then popped the ball out to the left, and Gakpo cutting inside on his favoured right foot. He's not far away, trying to find that far top corner.
Double change is going to be made for Liverpool. Swindon 0, Colchester 1, and there's been another goal at Roots Hall. Hamish Marshall.
Order has been restored. The League One side, Charlton, lead Southend 3-2, and it was Matty Gordon with a captain's goal, bundling it over the line from close range. They were 2-0 up, they were 2-2, they now lead 3-2 against Southend.
Curtis Jones has come on from McAllister against his old side. Luis Diaz waits to come on as well. Let's get an update in the Rugby Union. Sarah Orchard.
England have got their first try. It's England 19, New Zealand 14, 46-minute played, and a beautiful score in the end by the extra win. Manny Fairway with Boso, but it was all made by the England fly half Marcus Smith, who started inside his own half. It's England 19, New Zealand 14.
Commentary on Sports Extra. So Jones for McAllister and Diaz for Szoboszlai, the two Liverpool changes in the Rugby League. It's finished England 34, Samoa 16. And an update with England in the cricket, Dan Norcross.
A wicket, finally, 235 for 4 as 40 overs have just been bowled. Shafane Rutherford brilliantly caught by Dan Mosley out in the deep off Liam Livingston, but with 10 overs to go, a really good platform set. Hope there on 93. West Indies will still be looking at a target in excess of 320. 235 for 4 after 40.
Bradford City have come from behind. They lead Aldershot 2-1 in the FA Cup. Port Vale 1, Barnsley 2 as another FA Cup latest in the first round. In the Premier League here, 66 minutes played. Ipswich 1, Leicester 0, Nottingham Forest 1, West Ham 0. West Ham down to 10 men. Southampton Everton remains goalless. And Bournemouth Manchester City. Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0. So close to a third as well. Tavernier denied by the inside of the left post, and there was Smith who blasted the rebound over. City's heads look like they've absolutely gone here. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0.
Gakpo's forward ball will just go away from Salah, and Verbruggen clatters it away to safety outside of his penalty area. Nottingham Forest now, Pat Murphy.
2-0 Forest. Callum Hudson-Odoi will claim it. A right foot cross evaded quite a few people. One or two defenders might have got a hand on it. Fabianski unsighted. More importantly, it's Forest 2, West Ham 0.
Thank you, Pat. Match of the day tonight on BBC One at 10:20. Hensford 3, Gainsborough Trinity 1. So maybe the lowest ranked side left in the FA Cup. Still not assured of that place in round 2. Gainsborough getting a goal back. It's Verbruggen who is biding his time and eventually clears. Let's hear the voice of Chris Sutton. We haven't heard it for a while.
No, Brighton just had a good little spell where they're popping the ball around with ease, but Liverpool coming back as Curtis Jones had the effort just from inside the box, which was blocked. The last-ditch defending Brighton in this second half has been excellent.
We are midway through the second half on BBC Radio 5 Live, where Liverpool trail by a 0-0. But the leaders, Manchester City, are 2-0 down at Bournemouth. But elsewhere on the south coast, Chris Coles.
It's still Southampton 0, Everton 0, but the first goal feels close. Chances for both. For Southampton, Armstrong firing wide at the back post, and for Everton, Michael Keane's header, well saved by Ramsdale. Southampton 0, Everton 0.
A busy afternoon. It'll be a busy sports report with Mark Chapman at 5. Then we've got commentary at Molineux, Wolves against Crystal Palace, to be followed by 6:06. So if you're out on the road, listening through the BBC Sounds app, then you'll know the number to call, 0808 5909 693, to speak to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. As Luis Diaz on this near side the right finds Salah, almost level with the penalty area as Liverpool trail by a 1-0. That Cariolo goal in the first half. Gravenberch midway through the Brighton half, leaves it for Van Dijk to come onto it. His first time ball out towards Gakpo, provides the width, cuts inside off the left. It's a right-footed ball in! It goes all the way through! Tony Gakpo will claim it. His first goal in the Premier League might well be taking Liverpool back to the top of the Premier League. 1-1 at Anfield.
Well, it's a brilliant response from Liverpool in this second half as Gakpo cutting in on the left-hand side and just feeding a ball in right-footed. Darwin Núñez was in the mix as well. I don't know whether it goes straight in or comes off a Brighton defender, or whether Núñez gets the final touch. Let's have a look. I think it may be Van Hecker, actually, a touch off Van Hecker's head. It just goes into the far corner. Pass for Bruggen. You've got to say they deserved it. The equaliser with this second half performance, so much more intense, so much more committed, so much more aggression. 1-1.
Well, it's been credited as a Gakpo goal. His previous 4 goals have all come in the League Cup for this season. His first in the Premier League, and Liverpool are back level, and they'll be going top as it stands. Weston-super-Mare have equalised in the FA Cup with Bristol Rovers 1-1. Bradford City 3, Aldershot 1. St Johnstone 1, Hearts 1 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership, but a much transformed second half performance from Liverpool.
Yep, absolutely. You felt it was coming, and Brighton are going to have to hang on in there.
This is Gakpo again, struck the heels of Luis Diaz. They have their tails up now, but they leave themselves up vulnerable on the counter-attack as Matoma comes running forward. Slows it down to Welbeck. Welbeck now to a walking pace, then he accelerates. Welbeck cuts inside. Excellent sliding challenge by Joe Gomez. Welbeck had gone for the right-footed shot. Picked up by Veltman for Brighton, far side. Cariolo with the cross. Ruta had chance to hit it on the volley, missed it, struck his standing leg. Allows Curtis Jones to lead a counter-attack. He links up now with Diaz. Curtis Jones coming forward, finds Salah ahead of him, edge of the area. Salah cuts inside! Liverpool have turned it around. Mo Salah, left-footed, finds the top left-hand corner. Liverpool, in a matter of minutes, now lead Brighton by 2-1. That was Salah, superb.
From one end to the other. This is an unbelievable finish. The ball from Curtis Jones to Salah on that right-hand side. The one place you don't let him is on the inside, on that left foot. And he gets the run on Estepinian. And you know what's going to happen next. The goal opens up and Salah finds the far top corner. It's a brilliant finish, a world-class finish. And Liverpool come from behind to take the lead. No goalkeeper saving that. Right into the far top corner, left foot and hammer of a left foot. What a response from Liverpool, back on top.
Didn't Jones do ever so well? They're defending a Brighton attack, and Jones twice was involved, and ultimately will get the assist for finding Salah.
No, absolutely. A possibility or questionable whether Jones should have started the game. He didn't, but has come on. He's made an impact, but it's been a different Liverpool in this second half.
Mo Salah has now been involved in 16 goals against Brighton and Hove Albion. He's scored 10, he's got 6 assists. However, Brighton now are attacking. This is Matoma, his shot blocked, behind it goes for a corner kick. Brighton aren't finished just yet, despite trailing by 2-1. Crewe 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup first round. Tonbridge 0, Hardborough Town 3, Newport 2, Peterborough 2, and another goal at Hillsborough Julia Bowl.
It's Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 4. Bafkun Bayo, the man who scored that second penalty, has headed the ball down. He was by the right-hand post when he did it. Wednesday's heads have gone down now. I can't see them getting anything from this. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 4.
Nothing materialises from the corner on that far side, right-hand side. We were saying about an equaliser would take Liverpool top with Manchester City losing. But if anything now, they will be going 2 points clear of Manchester City and 7 points clear of Arsenal, as Arne Slot looks to try and maintain this impressive start, which has been the best ever start to a season in all competitions, which is saying something when you consider the illustrious history of Liverpool Football Club. Welbeck out towards Cariola, right-hand side, looks towards Welbeck once again, cleared away by Gomez. Brighton and Hove Albion are looking to make a double change. As the ball is scooped out by Van Hekke. Cariola doesn't deliver the ball first time, rolls it back. Veltman, time to control the ball, measure the cross, over the head of Ayari, it might drop to Welbeck, and there was Gravenberg of all people to clear it away. Let's get news of that goal at Bristol Rovers, Molly Stevens.
Bristol Rovers 1, Weston-super-Mare 1. Weston have been knocking the door the entire second half. Jordan Bastin got the equaliser. The National League South side are very much in this. Bristol Rovers 1, Weston-super-Mare 1.
It is a hectic Saturday afternoon on BBC Radio 5 Live, but it's pulsating and it's dramatic as Brighton still wait to make the double change. Burton Albion leads Scarborough Athletic by 1-0 in the FA Cup first round. The double change will see Vipa coming on and also Gruda as well, and the players who will be going off will be Cariolo and Ayari, as Fabian Hertzler looks to just try and make a couple of alterations to get Brighton back on level terms as they trail 2-1, but they lose the ball midway through the Liverpool half. But Julio does enough to hold up Salah, and now the change can be made. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, but Brighton have responded well, haven't they, since they've gone behind and pushing Liverpool back. Liverpool with defending to do, but Brighton, yeah, a couple of changes now.
Let's get an update in the Rugby Union. Remember, commentary on Sports Extra, Sarah Orchard.
55 minutes played. England still have the lead. It's England 19, New Zealand 14. We've just seen a lovely 50-22 struck by Marcus Smith. The Harlequins fly half, but New Zealand win the ball back, and they're now attacking out of their own half. It's England 19, New Zealand 14.
Endo's going to be coming on for Liverpool. Just a little bit of insurance. Exeter City 2, Barnet 2 is the latest score in the FA Cup first round. Endo waits, gets his final instructions from Arne Slot. It will be Darwin Nunez who's coming off, as we will go to Charlie Slater at Broadhall Way.
15 minutes remaining. Stevenage still leading against Guiseley by 1-0, but Guiseley of the 7th tier have just hit the post, and then the Stevenage keeper has made a triple, maybe even quadruple save to stop them from equalising. Still 1-0 to Stevenage.
Endo on then for his 50th appearance for Liverpool since he arrived from Stuttgart last year. That was after Liverpool had missed out on Caicedo and Lavia, who were doing so well for Chelsea. Chelsea, who will be part of 5 Live's Premier League Sunday tomorrow. Second commentary at 4:30 at Old Trafford against Manchester United with John Murray and Dion Dublin, after we brought you Tottenham against Aston Villa at 2. And at some opportunity, I'm going to attempt to run through all the latest scores in the FA Cup first round. Forgive me if I do it in stages, but they've lost the ball at Liverpool, and this is a chance to come forward here with Gruda to the edge of the area, but he was stopped, and Endo can bring it clear.
Yeah, Gruda's just gone out to that right-hand side for Brighton. Cadiola's dropped back into right back. There's Veltman, actually, who was one of the players taken off for Brighton, the Brighton right back.
Here is Van Hekke. Bournemouth still lead Manchester City 2-0. Ipswich looking for their first win of the season. 1-0 up at home to Leicester City. Nottingham Forest 2, West Ham United 0, looking to go into the top 4. Southampton Everton remains 0-0. So, latest scores of the FA Cup first round. Barrow 0, Doncaster 0. Bradford City 3, Aldershot 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Weston-super-Mare 1. Burton Albion leads Scarborough Athletic by 1-0. Carlisle down to 10 men in the first half, drawing 0-0 at home to Wigan. Chesterfield 3, Horsham 0, Crewe 0, Dagenham and Redbridge of the National League 1, Exeter 2, Barnet 2, Gillingham 0, Blackpool 1, Grimsby Wilson is goalless, Newport County 2, Peterborough United 2, Newport were 2-0 up, Port Vale 1, Barnsley 2, Reading lead Fleetwood by 1-0, Rochdale 2, Bromley 2, the National League side, Rochdale coming back from 2-0 down against Bromley, Rotherham 1, Cheltenham 3, Salford 2, Shrewsbury 1, Southend 2, Charlton 3, Stevenage lead Guiseley by 1-0, Stockport 1-0 up at home to Forest Green, Swindon Colchester, Swindon 0, Colchester United 1, Solihull Moors 1, Maidstone United 0, Rushall 0, Accrington Stanley 1, Maidenhead United knocking out Crawley by 1-0, Brackley 0, Braintree 0, Tonbridge 0, Harborough Town 3, first time in their history into the first round and looking to make it into round 2. Tranmere 1, Oldham 2, Walsall 1, Bolton 1, Woking 0, Cambridge 0, Worthing 0, Morecambe 1, Wickham lead York City by 3-1. Hensford, the lowest ranked side of the competition, 3, Gainsborough Trinity 1, Northampton Kettering will be live on BBC 2 at 5:15.
Yeah, Liverpool still work to do. I mean, this has literally been in as a game of two halves. Brighton so dominant in the first half. Liverpool, stunning comeback in the second half. Still work to do. Gakpo's now playing as the central striker. Liverpool with Nunes coming off.
Coventry yet to win the championship this season against the 10 men of Middlesbrough. Got a second goal at the Riverside. Middlesbrough 0, Coventry 2. Exeter 2, Barnet 3. Barnet in front, St Johnstone 1. Hearts 2 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. 11 minutes remaining. Liverpool are leading by 2-1 here at Anfield. We'll be back here on Tuesday night in the Champions League. Bayer Leverkusen will be the visitors. Wednesday night we're in San Siro. Thursday night we've got Europa League coverage. 3 more nights of successive European football on 5 Live as Gainsborough Trinity are staging a fight back. Hensford 3, Gainsborough Trinity 2 in the FA Cup. What's the latest at Bournemouth? Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0. Bournemouth sub Brooks with a shot into the side netting. One of the worst City displays I've seen in a while. 80 minutes. They've had their first shot on target. Haaland's volley held by Travers. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 0.
10 minutes remaining. Today Brighton took the lead. They've actually scored first in their last 5 Premier League games now. In the previous 4, they've only won 1. They've drawn 2 and they've lost 1. They're behind here now, despite what was such an excellent first half display. But Liverpool have rallied, and they have certainly been the better side in this second half. Woking 0, Cambridge 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup first round. Back to the Premier League, Southampton. Oh, no mistake by Kelleher. Gets it away at the second attempt. Up towards Salah. Salah now comes forward. He's got Gakpo through the middle. Instead, he looks towards Luis Diaz. Blocked. Salah has a second opportunity. He finds Curtis Jones. Missed to seal it. Curtis Jones with a block. Effort blocked. Goal at Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. Silva hangs it up to the far post, and there's Gvardiol to head past Travers. Got a hand to it, but it goes in. 82 on the clock. Game on. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1.
Salah scoops it forward, drops towards Simicast. Weak effort saved by Verbruggen. And I'm seeing Ipswich are down to 10 men. They are leading Leicester by a goal to 0, but it's all happening on 5 Live. A goal at Nottingham Forest. Pat Murphy.
Another one for Nottingham Forest, 3-0, and this one's from the fullback Aina. He went through 1 or 2 very poor challenges. Hardly anybody laying a glove on him. Left foot, 25 yards out. Looked a ripper, but awful defending. Forest 3, West Ham 0.
Rochdale 6th in the National League against Bromley. 1 win in 13. Bromley were 2-0 up, but Rochdale now lead by 3-2 in the FA Cup as Matoma comes forward. Excellent sliding challenge by Alexander Arnold. Whips up the crowd. Brighton get a corner. Let's get news quickly of that sending off at Ipswich. Lee Blakeman.
Ipswich 1 up but down to 10. Calvin Phillips sent off. Second bookable offence. Straight down the tunnel. We've got 12 minutes to go. Ipswich 1, Leicester 0.
No other goals to tell you about around the country here on 5 Live, the World Service and the BBC Sounds app. We've got 8 minutes remaining. Liverpool, who've come from behind, lead by 2-1. It's going to be Gruder to take the free kick for Brighton in front of the travelling support. Playing from right to left as we look. Left-footed, an outswinger, headed away by Gomez. The substitute's done well for Liverpool since he came on at half-time for the injured Konate. Jones, another substitute, looks towards Diaz, plays it on the inside. Simicast plays it back, and Liverpool look to try and get that element of control back with the ball as Luis Diaz now towards Curtis Jones. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, Liverpool just giving the ball away there. They've been pretty comfortable in this second half, but it sends Brighton now really going to go for it, aren't they? Try and push Liverpool back in search of this equaliser. Nothing to lose for Brighton.
Brighton have shown their quality in this game, that they will be a threat. Vipa linking up with Matoma. Matoma just screwed it right-footed off target, blocked by the Liverpool defence. Counter-attack could be on here. If Salah can get Diaz away, Cadiola will hold him up with the challenge. Does he get a yellow card? Yes, I think he will. Tony Harrington's calling him back. The Turkish international is shown yellow.
Yeah, well, Salah was away there. Cadiola, professional foul there. If you're Brighton, you've got to keep getting the ball out left to Matoma. He's the one where it looks like something could happen off that left-hand side. Not a great effort from him. Little give and go with Vifa just then, but still the opportunity there for Brighton. But this would represent a huge 3 points for Liverpool if they can hang on in there.
Yeah, Cadiola, who's now playing as a right back with Veltman off the pitch. Gruder ahead of him on that right-hand side. Coventry City have got a third at Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough 0, Coventry City 3. That sending off of Hayden Hackney proving costly. Stockport 1, Forest Green 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup. We'll go to Charlie Slater at Stevenage in the Cup.
82 minutes on the clock. Horrible mix-up at the back for Stevenage. Will Longbottom puts it into an empty net. Fans on the pitch, subs on the pitch. Chaos, 1-1.
Well, we gave you the results in the Championship earlier. These are the latest scores. Cardiff 0, Norwich City 1. Norwich looking to go 8 unbeaten. Hull City 1, Portsmouth 1, Leeds United 3, Plymouth 0. 8 unbeaten it will be for Leeds United, who will go above Sheffield United into second. Liverpool now are attacking. I just break off because this is Gakpo. He feeds it to Diaz. Diaz checks back. Diaz waits, looks for the shooting opportunity, pulls it to the edge of the area. Grafenberg shot takes a deflection behind for a corner kick. Middlesbrough 0, down to 10 men. Coventry 3, Preston 1, Bristol City 2. Queen's Park Rangers 0, the leaders Sunderland 0, and Sunderland are down to 10 men. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Watford 4. They're the latest scores in the Championship. Swindon 1, Colchester 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup, and Guiseley with that equaliser at Stevenage, as we've heard about there from Charlie Slater at Broadhall Way. Mark Bauer side from West Yorkshire getting an equaliser, and remember, there's no extra time. There's no replays in the FA Cup this season. First round, Simicast with the corner kick, headed on and saved by Verbruggen. Update now in the Rugby Union. Sarah Orchard.
England 22, New Zealand 14, 61 minutes on the clock, and it's an 8-point cushion now. Another penalty converted by Marcus Smith. He's 6 from 6 off the tee, but we've seen England in positions like this before. Can they close it out? England 22, New Zealand 14.
If I didn't give you Swindon 1, Colchester 1, I have now. Port Vale 1, Barnsley 3, Exeter 3, Barnet 3 are other latest scores in the FA Cup first round. 5 minutes remaining, but it's still tight. And remember, it's tight at Bournemouth, who lead Manchester City 2-1.
Yeah, and Brighton with a front four now, Matoma on the ball. That's where they've looked a real threat, but they're still in this. It's not done yet, but they're going for it, Brighton, but then that leaves spaces at the back, which Liverpool could well exploit.
A triple change in the offing for Brighton. We're going to see Ferguson going to be coming on. And we're also going to be seeing Jakub Moder as one of the other players coming on, as well as Simon Adingra. So a triple change coming on for Brighton. There's been another goal at Hillsborough. Julia Bolt.
It's now Sheffield Wednesday 2, Watford 4. Paul Valton had just come off the bench and he's made an immediate impact, scoring from the right-hand side with his right foot. A slight lifeline, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Watford 4.
A goal at Southampton now, Chris Coles.
Could this be Southampton's first Premier League win of the season? Adam Armstrong has scored with just 5 minutes to play, found on the left-hand side, arriving late, finished coolly, and St Mary's is bouncing. Southampton 1, Everton 0.
Well, the BBC statistician Chris Collinson said that before today, 24 teams previously winless after 9. A third of those have survived. Bournemouth were the last season when they finished 12th. Ipswich and Southampton looking to end that run, both leading. Wolves against Crystal Palace. Will it be a hat-trick of those sides without a win? Wolves against Palace to come after Sports Report. Our next commentary at 5:30. As Adingra has come on for Matoma. The triple change is taking place here for Brighton. Let's get an update from Nottingham Forest with Pat Murphy.
Still Forest 3, West Ham 0. West Ham playing the entire second half with 10 men due to the dismissal of Alvarez, and the crowd are loving this. Forest playing some Ole football. West Ham can't get anywhere near the ball. Forest 3, West Ham 0.
Adingra has replaced Matoma. Murder has come on to replace Kadiolu. And Ferguson is the player who has come on. And it is Hinchelwood who is the player who has gone off for that triple change with 2.5 minutes remaining of normal time. In the Premier League earlier, Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1, Ipswich 1, Leicester 0, Ipswich down to 10 men. Nottingham Forest leading there, West Ham by 3-0, and Southampton are 1-0 up against Everton at St Mary's. Here, Liverpool, who were trailing at half-time, now lead by 2-1.
I'm really surprised that Fabian Hurst has taken Matoma off. He's looked a real threat. I get the fresh legs, but blimey, you don't take your most creative player off.
Tunbridge 0, Harborough Town 4 is the latest score in the FA Cup. As we'll get another update from Bournemouth now with Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. It's all City. Doku's on. He's had a penalty shout waved away, and then Doku, an effort turned around the post by Travers. The board about to go up. I'll tell you how many added on in about 30 seconds or so. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1.
Brighton are attacking. Adingra. Challenge comes in. They're looking for a penalty there at Brighton. It was Luis Diaz on Gruder on that far side. The Brighton bench are having a word with the fourth official, Bobby Madley, down below. Brighton is still attacking. That'll be checked, of course, by VAR as a matter of course. Adingra wins a corner kick. We'll see if this corner will be taken quickly as to how seriously VAR are looking at that penalty check. Meanwhile, another goal at Hillsborough, Julia.
It is now a Sheffield Wednesday 2, Watford 5. Vacuum Bio, again, they made a hat-trick for him this afternoon. It was really bizarre. The Sheffield Wednesday keeper, James Beadle, went down really early for the save, and Bio just dinked it over the top of him, but Watford are leading 5-2.
Grimsby Town 0, Wealdstone 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup. Potential shock there. Gruder with the outswinging corner. Van Dijk heads it out. Picked up on that far side by Brighton. The shot by Ruta is saved by Kelleher. They're into 6 minutes of added on time at Bournemouth, who lead Manchester City by 2-1. So they're ahead of us here because we're inside the last 60 seconds of normal time. Chris.
Yep. And Liverpool, Kelleher just holding on to the ball, trying to waste valuable seconds. Just see this through, get back to the top of the league for Liverpool, but they're being pushed all the way by Brighton.
Conor Bradley is going to be coming on as well. Just confirmation of that Wealdstone lead at Grimsby. Yet to win away from home this season. 22nd in the National League, but leading at Grimsby with an injury time goal. And talking of late goals, Chris Colt.
Everton have equalised. Our Southampton to be denied late on again. Beto, well found, clean through, finished it nicely. It is being checked for offside. Southampton 1, Everton 1.
We're into stoppage time here. Haven't seen how much added on time there will be because at the minute, Bobby Madley's on overtime working that electronic board because Conor Bradley is coming on and Mo Salah is the player who is coming off as we'll go to Portman Road and Lee Blakeman.
Ipswich 1, Leicester 0. Leicester pushing for an equaliser through. Ayu's just been played through on goal. 1-on-1, just the keeper to beat. Big save, Muric. 10-man Ipswich leading Leicester 1-0.
Cardiff City have got a late goal at home to Norwich in the Championship. Cardiff City 1, Norwich City 1. Worthing 0, Morecambe 2 is the latest score in the FA Cup first round. Liverpool lead 2-1. Ball cleared away. Held up by Bradley on this near side, and he gets a free kick for Liverpool on the halfway line.
Yeah, Bradley just taking over from Mo Salah high up on that right-hand side. Arne Slot just wanting to see the game through, another defensive player on, but Liverpool in no rush to take this free kick.
They've got 6 minutes of added on time at Bournemouth. We are into 4 minutes of added on time here at Anfield, where Liverpool are a matter of minutes away from going 2 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the table. As much live reaction as we can into Sports Report on its way with Mark Chapman. Let's go to Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1, 93 on the clock. We've got another 3 to play, but Bournemouth on the break. Now can he finish it? No, he can't. City win it back, and Haaland before that denied by a brilliant Travers save from the corner. City throwing everything at it. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1.
Bromley have got a late equaliser at Rochdale in the Cup. Rochdale 3, Bromley 3. Walsall lead Bolton by 2-1 as Estepinian plays the ball back then to Verbruggen. Verbruggen will take his time and then passes it to Julia, who'll come forward now. Liverpool retreat into stoppage time here. Another goal at Hillsborough, Julia Bolt.
It's now Sheffield Wednesday 2, Watford 6. Vayakum Bayo with a 4th this afternoon at Sheffield Wednesday 2, Watford 6.
Watford take the first set then at Hillsborough 6-2. Let's go back to Southampton, Chris Colt.
The loud cheer from the Southampton fans tell you that VAR has disallowed the Everton equaliser. It was close. It was checked for at least 2 minutes, but the red line came out, and it's still Southampton 1, Everton 0.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. Ipswich down to 10 men, lead Leicester by 1-0. Nottingham Forest 3, West Ham 0, and that lead is a slender one, but it's still intact after that disallowed goal. Southampton 1, Everton 0. Another goal in the Cup, Hamish Marshall at Southend.
3-3 against Charlton. We're heading to extra time. Ping pong in a penalty area. I think the last touch may have gone off a Charlton player. Southend 3, Charlton 3 in added time.
Blackpool have got a second at Priestfield in the Cup. Gillingham 0, Blackpool 2. We're inside the last 60 seconds here in the Premier League as Liverpool still lead by 2-1. Endo with a challenge. Bradley back towards Alexander-Arnold. Is there still one last chance for Brighton, Chris Sutton?
Well, that's what Fabian Hertzler will be praying for. Just give us half a chance. Van Hecker's gone up now. Last throw of the dice. Ball will be thrown into the box eventually, but can Liverpool see this through? This would be a huge 3 points.
30 seconds remain of the minimum 4 to be added on. This is Vipa to the edge of the area. Couldn't get the shot away. Kelleher dives on it and quickly back. And the roar from the Anfield crowd. They know the significance of that one. Bromley are down to 10 men as they're heading towards extra time at Rochdale 3-3. Newport 2, Peterborough 4. And as we know from Hamish, Southend 3, Charlton 3. As the 4 minutes by my watch are up. And Liverpool have turned it around in this second half.
Yeah, it feels really big, this, for Liverpool, but Brighton still having a go. Van Heck has stayed up the Brighton centre-half. They're going to get a cross into the box here.
Able to carry the ball forward, back towards Vipa. His forward ball, Van Hecker was the target, goes behind him. Curtis Jones bundled to the floor by a clumsy challenge by Estepina. Wealdstone have knocked out Grimsby Town. So Grimsby knocked out by the National League strugglers by 1-0, their first away win of the season. As Nottingham Forest, meanwhile, Pat Murphy.
Still 3-0 up. Ryan Gates thought he scored the fourth, ruled offside. Milenkovic has also gone close with a header. It's a near rout here. Forest 3, West Ham 0.
Been such a tough week for Steve Bruce this week. Back in the dugout today, and Blackpool back to winning ways. Gillingham 0, Blackpool 2. Solihull Moors 3, Maidstone 0 is the latest score in the FA Cup. Cardiff City 2, Norwich 1. But here in the Premier League, the full-time whistle sounds, and Liverpool have come from behind, and their impressive start to the season continues under Arne Slot.
Yeah, and you know what? Liverpool had to dig deep. They were really poor in the first half, responded in the second half. I think it was an own goal from Van Heck. Gakpo did well on that left-hand side, and then a screamer from Mo Salah. But Liverpool back on top of the Premier League. Great resilience this afternoon.
It's been a cracking game of football. Brighton was superb in the first half. They led through Caniolo after 14 minutes, but Liverpool transformed after the break. Remember, they lost Konate at half-time through injury, but those 2 quick goals in the space of 3 minutes, Gakpo and then a beauty from Salah, means that Liverpool go 2 points clear, or do they? It's certainly finished here at Anfield. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1.
They do. Will Perry.
Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. The final whistle has gone. The first time they've ever beaten City in their history at the 22nd attempt. Semenyo finding the bottom corner on the spin after 9 minutes. Evan Nielsen turned a Kirkes cross past Edison in the second half. A late Gvardiol header made it a very, very nervy finish. But it's City's first defeat in the Premier League since December. They slip off the top of the table. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1.
There are nervy finishes here, there and everywhere in the Premier League. Ipswich are a goal up on Leicester, but they're down to 10. Calvin Phillips was sent off, and Southampton are clinging on at St Mary's. Chris Coles.
They are so close to their first Premier League win of the season. We have played a minute over the 4 added on, but the VAR check that eventually ruled out Beto's goal took so long that we may still have another couple of minutes to play. Could be a huge moment in Southampton's season. Southampton 1, Everton 0, still we play.
Ipswich are holding on, are they, Lee Blakeman?
They're not. Leicester have just equalised in the 94th minute. A move started by Ayew. 1-2 with Vardy. Finished by Ayew. It's Ipswich 1, Leicester 1. Late heartbreak for Ipswich for the second week in a row.
Both games between the two of them in the Championship last season finished 1-1, and it looks like the same thing is going to happen in the Premier League. No nerves at the City ground, just joy. Pat.
Unalloyed joy. 3-0 in the last minute. Wood, Hudson-Odoi, Aina for Nottingham Forest. Alvarez stupidly sent off for West Ham just before half-time. It's Forest 3, West Ham 0.
Pensford are the lowest ranked side left in the FA Cup. They were 3-0 up at home to Gainsbury Trinity, and Gainsbury